As the days wore on, they became almost routine in their lunacy. I must confess that I too began to view this ritualistic, nocturnal lifestyle as normal. At times, it even seemed fun, especially when Lazarus would loosen up a little and host what he called Barbeque Night tactical grape soda learning games.
On my call. Here we go. Hut. Good boy. Yeah, fuck him. You dying anyway. Yeah. All right, hotshot. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at you. Fucked up again. No 45-degree angle.
Why is the reasoning for this extensive training for them?
Well, come on, man. You know we about to be a police state. I want my boys to be able to retaliate, organize.
And who exactly are they fighting against?
One another. For my affection.
2 years in the making. An incredible adventure in spectacular widescreen animation. It's now playing at theaters everywhere. Transformers, the movie. It's a startlingly original story that begins in the year 2005.
Look! It's Unicron!
A monster planet destroys everything in its path, while on Earth, Optimus Prime and Megatron battle to the death.
It's over, Prime.
It's a story that will surprise and shock even the most die-hard Transformer fans. Starring Leonard Nimoy and Judd Nelson, with songs by Weird Al Yankovic and Stan Bush. Escape into fantasy this summer, into the incredible rock and roll adventure. Transformers, the movie. Don't miss it. Rated PG. It's now playing at theaters everywhere.
Ironhide, report to me at once. Every time I look into a monitor, Prime, my circuits sizzle. When are we gonna start busting Decepticons? I want you to make a special run to Autobot City on Earth. But Prime! Listen, Ironhide, we don't have enough Energon cubes to power a full-scale assault. Ready the shuttle for launch. Your days are numbered now, Decepticons. And a lot of it. More than you imagine, Optimus Prime.
Ultimatus, because of the evaluation of Decepticon capability, a distinct tactical deficiency. In other words, Perceptor,
Thing to do tonight, then die. What's up, everybody? My name is Sober Ryu, and I'm with Shinjuku Station Podcasting. Thank you for coming out tonight for Barbeque Night, Episode 6. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but it's always fun when we get together to do these. And I've got a full panel on deck tonight for the special episode that we have planned. Tonight's panel consists of our friend, my co-host on EX vs. the Gundam Nation, Eric, aka Eggman. Also, our local resident Transformers nut, Fredericks 00, is in on the call. Thanks to him, we have an outline and plenty to talk about tonight. So shout outs to Fred. Also on the line is Kyle, aka Highest Metal. Shout outs to him. MichaelTron, a very good friend of Eric's, is also on the call with us tonight. We also have Mula Flaga. You guys know him. He's also a Transformers nut, more so on the toy side. Hopefully you guys can hear my voice. And also, possibly tonight, one of my old friends, Ron, might be joining us in order to add his 2 cents to Transformers. He's been a big fan of Transformers as long as I've known him. And it's because of him that I know quite a bit about Transformers, at least Generation 1 and so forth. And of course, I'm the host, Sober Ryu, for those who don't know. Many thanks for you guys coming out and watching the show tonight. Before we get started, just want to let you guys know, coming up this week, actually tomorrow night, is JoJo with Sobro. It's when we come together to play JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle. Watch that live at twitch.tv/FightersReady. That's tomorrow night at 10 p.m. And also, EX vs. the Gundam Nation. That's when we come together to play Gundam Extreme versus Full Boost and come together and talk about all sorts of events happening in the mecha anime universe. We have that on Saturday, September 27th at 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. You can watch that live at twitch.tv/FightersReady. And I just want to give a shout out to the group that I belong to, which is Shinjuku Station Podcasting. And we have streams all over the place. Make sure to visit twitch.tv/Mr. Lee Majors and hit his follow button, man. He streams all the time. Great dude, one of my best friends, and he's awesome, man. Definitely follow him on Twitch. And also follow Shoji Ramaro. That's also one of my best friends as well. And he has two channels, twitch.tv/Shoji Ramaro and hitbox.tv/Shoji Ramaro. Definitely check him out and watch his streams, man. He's hilarious. And thanks, you guys. Let me go ahead and get these cats in here and introduce each one. Let's see. Flamex says, if you want to know, you sound good, SBR. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate the sound check. Let's go ahead and get these guys in here. Hopefully, Skype will not be a bitch. What up, boys?
There he is.
Hey.
Good evening.
Finally. Good stuff. We're finally live, and we're about to get things cooking. I want to introduce, of course, my co-host on EX vs. the Gundam Nation, Crestborn. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Freaking nuts, man. But thank you for being here tonight. Also, our one of my good friends online, Fred Rex. He is a Transformers nut, more so the comics than anything else. How you doing tonight, Fred?
Big Remark love Transformers.
I know that sucked, okay? But
No.
What's up, y'all?
No, you're doing fine. Oh, wait a minute. Did we lose? We lost. Oh, hang on a second. I thought we had Highest Metal on the call, but we did not. I'm pulling him in now. There we
There
go.
he is.
There he is. Hey, Kyle, I might as well go to you next, sir. Welcome to the call.
Hello.
Hello, Kyle. This is Highest Metal on the line with us as well. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing fantastic, and I hope Skype does not shit out on me.
Let's hope. I also want to welcome a friend of Eric's. His name is Michael. Is that correct? Uh-oh.
That is correct.
Hey.
And to jump in on this, every time Skype drops my call, my circuit sizzle.
Oh, good one.
Good one.
Way to
night,
make
everybody.
it. Way to make an intro, man. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. And also,
Thanks for the invite.
oh, you're very welcome. Coming all the way from Australia is one of our evil Australians himself, Mula Flogger. How you doing, Robin?
I'm good, thanks.
Hey,
Bow, weep, cry now, weep, nitty bong.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Keep them locked up.
Keep
Fucking
them.
savage.
And let's see here, Kyle.
Kyle got interrupted.
Is there two Kyles? Because I keep getting that mixed up.
There is two Kyles.
There are two
There is
Kyles.
holy crap.
Yeah, there's two Kyles. It's Highest Metal and Kyle. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty good.
I'm gonna have to just call you. I'm gonna refer to Highest Metal as Highest Metal, and I'll refer to Kyle as Kyle. So that'll work. Wait a minute, you're Fort Zero, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Fort Zero. Then I'll just call you guys by your
Monikers.
Monikers. That'll
Monikers.
work just fine. So,
That's fine.
fellas, thank you very much for being a part of this tonight, and we're gonna kick this off by talking about the original animated series first. Fred brought up this dope ass. Let me turn this down for a second. As much as this song rocks, we can't have it overpowering everything. But yes, tonight we're gonna kick off the discussion. We're gonna have a break, by the way. Halfway through, we're gonna take a break, and when we get back, we'll have the second half of the session. By the way, let people know that we're doing this tonight by hitting the tweet button at the top of the live stream page. It'll help to get the word out that we're doing this stream tonight. And thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate you guys helping out and get the word spread. But let's start with the original Generation 1 cartoon, which aired in 1984. Matter of fact, the anniversary of it airing was last week. It would have been the day before we were supposed to do this actual session last week, Thursday. But, life had a way of fucking that up. So, but I can't believe it's been 30 years. 30 years. I am old as hell.
Yup.
I'm not going to dispute that.
Oh my God! It feels like it was yesterday though, and I say that all the time because I have the nostalgia glasses like taped to my face. But it was a mind blowing experience to see the show for the first time because I had heard about the toys. beforehand. I had a couple friends that had the Transformers toys, and I had no interest in Transformers at all. My mind was on Voltron, and that's all you could get it on. So at the time when I was, 84? So I was 7. I didn't have a damn lick of interest in Transformers at all until the animated series started. And the way I found out is I just got home from school one particular day, and my cousin Josie was living with me, and she would watch cartoons with me. She was in her teens. She was like in high school, like maybe a sophomore at the time. Every afternoon around 4 o'clock, I'd get home, and when I got home, Voltron would come on, and then right afterwards, Transformers would come on, and we were transfixed to the screen, dude. It was nuts.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But when I saw that series, man, I wanted every Transformer on the block, man. My dad was in Japan at the time because he was in the Navy, and I begged him to get me an Optimus Prime, and he got me nothing of the sort.
Damn.
Because I for some reason I knew that Transformers could be found in Japan. I didn't know that was the birthplace of them, but since Japan was already known for robots, and I was already exposed to Voltron and Tranzor Z, aka Magazine Z, I begged him to see if he could find me Optimus Prime. The thing that I didn't know is Optimus Prime had a different name, and that was Convoy in the Japanese version of the show. So it would have been cool to have a Japanese Optimus Prime, but I did not give my dad the right amount of information, and it wasn't like I could take a picture with my smartphone and send it to him because it was 1984. So all I could do was give him a description, and he got me some other robot, which I still to this day don't know what it was. But I love the animated series, man. I'd watch it pretty. It was pretty much my obsession until 1985 when Robotech came on, and then Robotech pretty much like superseded everything else. But it was the conversation on the playground. If you went to school, everybody pretty much knew Transformers, and it's funny to see that nowadays Transformers are so well known by everybody as opposed to like a select few, and it usually were kids my age that knew it at the time, and just to see that happen throughout to see what happened during the 90s, where it started to become, what's the word, public pop culture in pop culture. People started to know it, and you'd meet more and more people. Robin writes in the Skype chat, the Japanese lines were Diaclone and Microman originally. Convoy comes from Diaclone, along with a fair few of the Autobot cars and Decepticon jets. Well, thank you, Robin.
That's all right. That's cool.
Robin knows a lot about the toys, by the way, so when we get into that, he'll definitely shine.
Nerd. What can I say, man? It's all this stuff in my room. It's just here. It's just all the stuff I love. So,
but just to
what
give
can I say?
No problem.
Go ahead.
Just to give a basic outline of the TV show, it's basically the Autobots, which were the good robots, and the Decepticons, which were the evil Transformers, crash land on Earth a million years before the series actually starts in modern day. They are pretty much asleep for a million years and buried in a mountain / volcano. And then a million years later, what happens? An earthquake wakes them up, or
yeah, it erupts partly as well, and it sets off an earthquake as well at the same time.
That's right.
And it awakens Teletran 1 and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And it starts scanning them and setting them up for like. But unfortunately, it sets up the Decepticons first, though.
Yeah, it opens them, it activates them first. They leave, which is amazing. I guess they just assumed the Autobots were dead, and they leave and they find their wrecked spaceship, I guess, in the ocean, and it's been there for a million years. So they go ahead and habitate that.
Well, actually, at first they actually tried to build a whole new ship because the other one crashed somewhere else, and they started building a whole new one first and all that to like replace it. To get back and all that, so
that's what's up. So yeah, they build a new ship, and then Autobots awaken, and the battle begins anew in modern day. They befriend a young man by the name of Spike Witwicky, and his father, Sparkplug. Of course, that's their nicknames, and they enlist them in the battle against the Decepticons, as the Decepticons are trying to gather the Earth's resources in order to convert it into Energon, not only to take over the planet, but also go back to Cybertron and cement their hold back on Cybertron where the war rages on. So that's pretty much how the series begins, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over. Who would like to talk? Who here who watched the original G1 series and wants to speak on it first?
I did, definitely.
Well, Robin, I'm gonna turn it over to you, man. What are your thoughts on the original G1 series?
All right. The original Transformers. Oh man. Thinking about it, it has its ups, it has its downs for episodes, but it gets a little bit of flack for sometimes for the really rabid fanboys and all that stuff, like the G1ers and all that stuff. But yeah, but as much as it gets some criticism, sometimes I've discussed it with friends and as well. There are actually some good episodes that are can actually surprise you as well in the mix if you look carefully at some of the episodes and watch them and maybe think about it a little bit and all that stuff, like the characters and everything in the show. Mm-hmm. I also like that at least they gave a lot of variety to the characters, like alternate modes and things and all that stuff. And then in the future, we got even more wackier stuff like futuristic vehicles and bases and everything, because they didn't just limit it to the scale of real cars and all that stuff. They expanded their range for what they could transform into by the late second and third season, really. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but that's what I'm going to say to start with, man, because my thoughts are kind of jumbled, thinking about the whole thing in one go. So
no problem, man, no problem. Who's next? Highest Metal, anything to say about G1?
All right, yeah, sure. All right, just to clarify things, I was not around during its initial premiere in '84.
Most of you guys weren't.
I wasn't even conceived, but. Now I actually watched G1 originally via Chinese bootleg. Mm-hmm. No, I really liked it. I mean, I love the fact that you have all the different characters in it, and it's every episode is not the same, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's always something going on with it, whether it's a new stupid plot by Megatron that absolutely makes no sense whatsoever.
Of course.
Or it's just one random ass episode that makes no sense to begin with, but it's still enjoyable all the way through. And yeah. Also, Peter Cullen is God.
We get to the voice acting eventually, so.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I'd like to ask Michael, what are your thoughts on Generation 1?
Love it or hate it, you have to admit, if it wasn't for Generation 1 and its success, we would not have had anything that we have today.
There you go.
Agreed, sir. Agreed.
I mean, truly, like I said, y'all have touched on the points, whether it be standalone episodes or the occasional two-parter, three-parter.
Yep.
The stories were varied. The characters, even the derpiest or, most sarcastic little unlikable thing like Gears, you just couldn't help but feel for them in some respect because the stories.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Looks like Skype's giving us a little trouble. If you could repeat that last part again, I'm sorry. Uh-oh. Damn you, Skype.
Damn you, Skype.
He might have broken up.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, am I coming through?
You're coming through better.
Coming through
Absolutely.
Now. Yep, you are.
Okay, but like I said, whether it was the show or the toys or the comic, they all ran together really close, and you just have to look at it like, sure, it was a 30-minute toy commercial, mm-hmm. but at the same time, even though if it didn't have the moral at the end of the episode, kind of like G.I. Joe or the public service announcement, you could still get something out of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They made some PSAs for it, but I don't think they ever aired on TV.
That's kind of creepy sounding.
It's like the opposite of Blur.
Yeah,
not again.
That last sentence you said, it got chopped up again. Go ahead. Uh-oh, Skype. Oh my gosh. We'll come back. We'll come back to Michael. We'll come back. In the meantime, I'm curious to hear what let's see here. Fred, man, any thoughts on G1?
No.
No thoughts. Well, shit.
No.
Fred, there's gonna be something in there, man.
Also, feel free to mention your favorite episodes as well. If you have any favorite episodes in particular, I'll come back to anyone who I didn't ask about favorite eps. But Fred, go ahead.
You know, I didn't really get into the G1 cartoon until I started becoming a fan later on after watching things like Discourse and Animated and stuff like that. And if you can't tell by that, you know, I wasn't born when it was first aired. So, yeah, I'm not an old man.
Not at all.
Not at all. But what the show did, and like others have said before, the groundwork that
welcome back. Welcome back. Go ahead, Fred.
The groundwork that the show laid for the entire franchise, like the little personality quirks, it kind of just laid down the groundwork for later series, especially with like Beast Wars and even more so the comics, where different writers and authors will pick up these little quirks that the cartoon would lay down and just expand upon them. And it, you know, like other people have said, like, say what you want about the franchise or about the original cartoon, but it pretty much, without it, we wouldn't have any of this. We wouldn't be talking right now, probably. If anything, I think.
Indeed, man, is the granddaddy of them all. Well, Eric, man, any thoughts?
I remember going back through a long time ago and watching. I think it was considered Generation 2 because it was the original episodes of Transformers, but the in-betweens would have that weird like cube thing that had the Autobot symbol and the Decepticon symbol. Like that was officially Generation 2, but it was
they
still
redid the transition stuff and what. Yeah, for Generation 2, they just recycle parts of the original card in for it. Basically,
that was actually my first anything of Transformers that I actually watched. So I remembered they used to play Transformers on Sci-Fi Channel a long time ago too, and I watched it there from time to time, and just watching through it and remembering the toys. And the big thing in West Virginia and most like southern states or whatever is yard selling and flea marketing, and around the early 90s there were a lot of Transformers toys at these things, and so I ended up collecting a few of, like, I remember I got the original like the sound or the Jetfire that was actually the Macross fighter, and before I knew any of that, you know, got into any of that. And not a few years ago, I remember going back through and watching the first season of Transformers, and the only thing that I remember was Jetfire showing up, and I was like, hey, I remember that thing, and how he died, and then came back like 2 episodes later, and nobody said a thing about it.
Yeah, he just got buried. It looked like he died at that time.
Yeah, we just put him in a dirt nap, just let him chill for a little bit, and then like 2 episodes later, he comes walking out of a door. Hey guys, what's going on? Oh, we leaving the ship? Okay. But no, it's just looking back at it, it was a toy commercial, but it had pretty decent storylines, pretty good voice acting. I mean, Frank Welker and Optimus Prime's voice actor is
Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen, thank you. They did a good job for what they had. It's definitely interesting, though, going through season 1 and then going into season 2 and seeing how they start to take themselves a little bit more seriously as it goes along. But it was definitely interesting. But Jetfire is definitely my favorite character out of all that mess, and the Dinobots showing up. The Dinobots having like 3 different origin stories within the first seasons, like that was always interesting. But yeah, it was pretty good stuff.
Dope. Fort Zero, man. Any thoughts on Generation 1, or were you also mad young or non-existent when it aired?
I'm pretty sure I was non-existent when it originally aired, but I do have. I think I picked up the set that gives me all of G1. I just haven't gotten through all of it quite yet, but I rather enjoyed it. Yeah, cool. It does. After, if you watch it in succession, it does tend to drone on a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's like you got to take that breather, or at least I do anyway.
Well, hey man, if that is no problem, I should relay to people to let you guys know it's been released out here in the States at least twice already. There was initial release of Generation 1 on DVD by Rhino. And then that got phased out, and then I think Sony released the second release, right?
It was Shout Factory.
Shout Factory. Thank you, sir. Thank you. They released it, and when they did, that's the one that's currently on the market now. But Michael, since we got you back, any thoughts on any favorite episodes or anything like that in Generation 1?
Oh, there was quite a bit, going back just as far as even the ones that could be taken seriously, like Heavy Metal War, or, you know, the quest for the search for Alpha Trion, and then some of the goofy episodes pre-season 3, like Triple Takeover, which has, you know, some of my favorite quotes. I know we're going to get on some favorite quotes later, but, you know, nothing says Megatron and Starscream's relationship rather than this. You're either lying or you're stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
That or Starscream's Brigade.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, great episode, Starscream's Brigade.
What was the? There was 2 episodes I really dug. One of them was Almost Human. I think actually both episodes I like are in the 3rd season. Almost Human was definitely one of them because that one had a crossover with G.I. Joe in the form of Cobra Commander and the Synthoids. I dug that episode quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the episode that also had a crossover with G.I. Joe in the form of Marissa Fairborn.
I remember that one. It's the Killing Jar.
The Killing Jar. Thank you. And the reason why it has crossover with G.I. Joe is Marissa Fairborn's the daughter of both Flint and Lady J, and Flint himself makes an appearance as a hologram, or not in reality, but it's an illusion that Marissa sees. By the Quintessons. Absolutely. And he's voiced by the very man that voices Flint in the animated series for G.I. Joe, at least back then. He's drawn to look like an older Flint, and it's later been confirmed that she is the daughter of Flint and Lady J, which establishes yet again another thread to Transformers. There were other things throughout the series that also established threads to Transformers, like the 20 Questions, threads to G.I. Joe, like the 20 Questions TV show during the first 2 seasons, and some other stuff as well. I'm trying to think. My other favorite episode is the episode where Optimus Prime is resurrected momentarily.
Dark Awakening?
Dark Awakening. Thank you. Holy
That's
shit.
one of my favorites as well.
That episode's so damn creepy, dude. Oh,
and it's also really dark for an episode as well.
Oh, tell me about it. Hang on a second. Let me pull in my boy. I think I should be able to get him in.
Yep. All right.
He should be able to
Could try again.
Oh my gosh.
I find that episode to be the dick of all the episodes in there because it's like, hey, he's back, and then it's like, no, he's not.
Ron, how you doing?
Yo, I'm good. What's up?
Hey man, welcome to the convo, man. We're live with no jive. we're actually talking about Generation 1 right now. We just started off the conversation, so you're not late at all. But I wanted to know what is your basically we went over the overview of the series, but what are your favorite things about G1? How did you come across Generation 1 when you were a kid?
Well, I mean, you know, our mutual friends.
Yeah.
It was just mostly a toy thing. Like, I got into toys a lot. Like, I draw now, and it was drawn in middle school, but Transformers wasn't the thing that got me into drawing, but it definitely got me into anything that would, I guess, make me into sci-fi is born from Transformers. Wow. So, in the early 80s, Transformers, that was just my shit.
That's what's up. Any episodes that are your favorites by any chance? I know you have a few.
Oh, of course. I mean, you talking about like from Generation 1?
Generation 1, whether it be seasons 1, 2, or 3.
Let me think.
I'd mentioned right before you got on, I'd mentioned that the Killing Jar, Almost Human, I think it's Only Human, right?
I think Only Human. Yeah,
Only Human. The one where was it Rodimus and the other Autobots get turned into human beings for a short period, and Cobra Commander makes an appearance, and then what's the other one? The Dark
Awakening.
Dark Awakening. Thank you. One where Optimus Prime gets resurrected momentarily. Those are my favorites. Yep. But I know you. I know one of your favorites is Carnage in C minor, right?
Damn.
How dare I?
Damn, Sober. Low blow.
I know he completely hates that episode. But go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
It's like a lot of the ones from the seasons 1 and 2 kind of blur to me. I mean, I did like and I forgot the name of it. I think it's City of Steel.
Oh, hey, right on.
Megatron dismantles Optimus Prime, uses his arm as like a cannon to defend this fortress, and then they make an alligator robot out of his carcass. And
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
That one was weird as shit.
when I saw it, I thought that was awesome because I was like, wow, you can't kill the Autobot or kill anybody because you just put them back together. So I thought, and so that's probably my favorite one from that generation. And one that I think is really creepy is Autobot Spike.
That one was ooh.
So that was that was just it's like when you see it as a kid, it's like, wow, I always want to be a robot, and it seems so cool. But for him to be like some Frankenstein's monster,
that's exactly what it was.
It was really, really unsettling to think that you can live the dream of being a robot through this human's eyes, and then when he becomes one, it's just pure agony.
Yeah.
But then from, I guess, season 3, favorite one is Call of the Primitives.
Call of the Primitives? Really?
That's interesting.
Oh,
choice.
I love that episode too.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That one's actually animated by TMS, Sobro.
TMS?
That episode.
Yeah, I mean, they became less and less animated by TMS, or you mean Toei?
No, Tokyo Movie Shinsa, I believe.
Well, I thought Toei was like the animation company behind Transformers.
No. For season 3, apparently most of it was done by Acom.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah,
But,
they swapped hands. They swapped hands for season 3 and all that.
Hands because Toei was the producer of like the first couple of seasons, but
those two.
I didn't realize,
Yep,
and they were also the animator of the animated series as well. But you're saying they animated TMS animated episode, which it looks like that. So
yep, it's really good.
That clean ass animation. But what was it about Call of the Primitives that you dug?
It's just it's something that, like, if you see like the new Transformers movie, they really never touch base on why the robots, why the super advanced robots can be dumb.
Yeah.
And so when like the Primitives are just introduced as like they're kind of like creatures, and they have like I guess like when the I forgot what it was, is it Dualcon or something like that, whatever it is that's calling them. They have like a primal part of their brain, which makes them like less than like regular robots, and it's just not like a huge origin of explaining why they're dumb.
Right. There's a little bit of feedback coming from your end. I apologize.
I mean, there's no other explanation for them to be dumb.
Yeah. The mic might be a little bit more sensitive than.
Are we in your pocket?
No. He has to talk to us on his smartphone app because his computer was having some issues. But yeah, it picks pretty much when you're on the phone, it picks up everything. But no, it's cool. But go ahead.
Oh, but like I was saying, I mean, I guess it's just like it's a robot. For a robot to be dumb, that was probably the best explanation you're going to get from a cartoon from like the 80s. While like I'm sure you've seen the YouTube video where it shows Optimus Prime asking Wheeljack why the hell he would make these big, giant, powerful robots and give them the brains of idiots. That never made sense.
Right,
and then when you look at that episode, it kind of retcons that, but it sort of makes sense why those robots could be dumb.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Not bad. Well, before we move on to a subject that I know a lot of people will probably have input on, which is the animated movie. Anything else about Generation 1? Anybody wanted to throw in to the comment?
I think my favorite episode has to be Autobot, just for the fact of hearing Soundwave's laugh was probably the most godlike thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was like, whoa.
Nice. Robin, any favorite episodes of yours?
Yep, I'm going to run down mine actually before we get on to the next bit. My favorite episodes, I'll just go over them by name tags if anyone remembers them, and not sure I'll just go over why a little bit briefly as well.
Okay.
But Traitor from early season 2, that one focuses mainly on Mirage and Cliffjumper, and Mirage is being really super underhanded, and he actually sets up the Decepticons and the Insecticons against each other as well, and then he gets jacked by a bombshell as well. later on, and then things go really effing bad. So that's one. The Secret of Omega Supreme.
Ooh, that's
that one.
Oh, yeah.
That one's one of my all-time favorite character episodes for Omega Supreme for myself. Starscream's Brigade was mentioned earlier. Dark Awakening also. And then these last three, the Master Builder. Because the reason with that episode is I see an interesting kind of dynamic between Grapple and Hoist and the Constructicons in that episode, though. Because for a point, you can't tell, are the Constructicons actually going against Grapple and Hoist because Megatron forced their hand, or because they're Decepticons, or are they doing this willingly? They actually want to build shit with them, like, you know, of their own will, like, you know. So that's that one. The Insecticon syndrome. That was interesting when the Insecticons get super damn powerful, and the havoc they cause, and all that, and then they end up mind controlling a bunch of the Decepticons later in the episode as well, like turning them against Megatron and forcing Megatron to ally with Prime and all that. So
it kind of alludes to how they are in Prime when we watch when we talk about Prime later on, how much power the Insecticons have in that as well. But
wasn't there another episode where they had a team up? I think it was when Megatron was trying to dig to the core of the Earth, and I guess Devastator went haywire.
That was the core. You just practically named the name of it. So,
the core, yeah.
And the final one, Aerial Assault. Granted, it does have a stupid purple flying griffin base later on in the episode, but it has some awesome dogfighting battles because you got the Combatagons versus the aerial bots in a canyon. Fucking awesome firefight. That's what I'll say.
Well, hey, man, if anything, I knew you'd have a laundry list.
That's it. I'm done. We can move on. So,
real quick, which Transformer was your favorite toy out of all the ones? I'll have everybody go around and name one. We'll start off with Eric. Do you have any from Generation 1 that was your favorite? Eric?
Hello?
Eric, I guess you're sleeping. We'll move on. Ronnie, which Transformer was your favorite from Generation 1?
I mean, I'm sure I have a story that everyone has of their parents who just refused to buy them anything they ever wanted.
Of course.
And so you end up getting stuck with a toy just by luck. I've always wanted Optimus Prime, and I never got him. But then I lucked up around the time the movie came out. Like, my parents didn't want to take me to the movie, so they opted to buy me a toy, which is, I mean, whatever as far as the consolation prize goes. But I ended up getting Ultra Magnus. And getting Ultra Magnus and not realizing that he was a white Optimus Prime, and then opening him up and then realizing I got Optimus Prime, basically, that's probably my favorite toy.
Oh, damn. Got like a bonus Transformer, basically.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. We'll go to Fort Zero next. What's your favorite?
Oh, well, I never got those toys, but if I had to pick a Transformer toy that I would have liked, probably would have been Optimus.
Yeah, that was one I wanted as well. Although I have a favorite that's my own. I'll save mine for last. Fred, man, any from Generation 1 you have that's a favorite?
Kind of like what everybody else is saying is the Optimus, just as like a toy engineering standard, it's fucking beautiful. But if I were to name, I know I'm cheating here, but if I were to name a toy, it'd be motherfucking Predaking.
I gotta agree with you there, man. That's the best combining bot that they had, dude, and it was huge. And they just reissued it too, right?
They did, yeah.
Holy
and
shit.
I'm hoping to see if I can fucking find that shit.
What's that cost? Like $1,000?
No, but well, because it's reissued, they took out all the metal, so it's all plastic now, and it's about 150.
Wow.
How much is it?
150
for the whole thing.
For the whole set.
Yo, that's dope as hell.
Yeah.
There was a Japanese reissue that had the die-cast metal in them previously, though. I've got that one.
Yeah, but that was that was like an online exclusive, I believe. But yeah, that Predaking is just it's such a beautiful toy. And when you look at something like a Devastator, who kind of I'm sorry, but he looks like a lopsided green bunch of construction vehicles put together, but. But Renegade is just like beautiful. Yeah, you got the animal heads, but it kind of just it's like it kind of mirrors back to this was a Japanese kind of toy. You can see the styling it has, but it's just awesome. I love it.
Michael, what was that big transformer that I gave you that I had gotten?
You had given me two. You had given me the original Metroplex and the original Blaster, both of which were very tall for G1.
Yeah, those were my favorite toys that I had from my Transformers. Was that Metroplex and Blaster? Yeah, I remember I had those. Those things were die-cast fucking metal. Those things were heavy.
It's a dying art.
It is, man. I miss die-cast. Since you're back, Eric, man, any favorite favorite Transformer toy? Name your most favorite Transformer toy from Generation 1.
Strangely enough, it might actually be the little green UFO dude, Astro.
Oh my god!
Oh no, wait, Cosmos.
Yeah, Cosmos. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
the mini-bot.
Cosmos, Generation 2 Bumblebee that they came out with, the little tiny ones, little teeny tiny ones. Like, I went to my Big Lots a long time ago, and they had Cliff Jumper, Bumblebee, Cosmos, Sea Spray, and they were all like $1.50 or something like that. And I was just like, these are just the cool things. And then at the yard sale, I found Metroplex, and it was the perfect size to fit the little bots into him and everything. So, like, the combination of that Metroplex and all my little microbots or whatever they were was the freaking best.
Mini bots.
Nice.
I liked Power Glide and Warpath from the mini bots personally.
Did you now, sir? Well, since you spoke, Robin, what's your favorite Transformer from Generation 1? The toy was.
I've narrowed it down to pretty much 3 in my brain.
Oh, of course, you got more than one. Go ahead, please.
It's a hard pick, man. It's a hard pick.
God damn, Robin.
Shockwave, Skylynx, and Omega Supreme. Those 3.
And which one out of those 3 is your most favorite?
Probably Omega. Fucking Omega Supreme.
Omega Supreme.
I would have loved to have had an Omega Supreme back in the day. That toy looked really cool when I looked at the pictures of it back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
pretty cool.
Still
to this day.
It was the biggest Transformer at one time. When that came out, man, I wanted that set so bad. But
I got the reissue of him, and actually, there's also a because they all kept on breaking with the motor with the ones I would get on occasion off of eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So like the original ones, the motor would just like kind of break or die and all that shit and all that. There is actually a cool ass Japanese e-hobby they did for Omega. They redecorated him in the Guardian robot colors.
Ooh, all right.
Like a bluish gray color, like you see in that one episode, War Dawn or something. I think it's called.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it the origin episode though?
Yeah, for Optimus Prime. Yeah.
Well, if anything, Michael, what would be your favorite Transformer toy from G1?
It was already touched on just for a second, but it would be the glorious, motorized, beautiful Skylynx.
Skylynx, huh? That's an eclectic choice, man. What about him did you dig?
Well, other than being just glorious and his personality, but he and Ultra Magnus growing up were the only high-ranking Autobots that I had.
Oh, nice.
And really, as far as story goes, either one of them could go toe-to-toe with Galvatron or some of the big-name Decepticons. Heck, with Skylynx wasn't sparring with Predaking, he was dogfighting around Trypticon.
That's right. And wasn't Skylynx he was the, maybe I missed this a second ago, but he was the rival of Predaking, right?
He was, as far as the cartoon was concerned.
Yeah.
He was fairly powerful for what he was. Yep.
Not bad. That's actually a dope-ass choice. Highest metal, man. What was your favorite from G1?
Alright, it's already been touched upon, but Omega Supreme definitely, because I absolutely fucking love him, both cartoon and pretty much all the adaptations of him.
Yeah.
That and Devastator. I love him.
Devastator.
I mean, yeah, he was fucking cool.
He was the shit. I
do have a shitload of fucking G1 Prime that are all the basic, reprints or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pretty they're basic, but they're still pretty fun to have.
Dope, pretty dope. I gotta say, mine honestly was Megatron. I always wanted him. I could never get him. I always, to this day, if I can get my hands on an original release of Megatron with the black parts, not the orange terrible looking fucking parts, then I'd die a happy man. I would.
Good luck with that.
Oh my god, dude. They did release it for a hot second in Japan. And matter of fact, they had like a dual set between Optimus and Megatron, where you could have them both together in a set. And it was the original release of Megatron, where it was the black add-on pieces before, and the black nozzle and all that stuff. But
I got him.
You got him, huh? You sack.
It was a Japanese reissue, and it comes with more parts of you as well. He's pretty cool still.
Did it
but
cost
like I said in the chat, though, crotch trigger though. That's the one thing you ever notice about that toy, though, compared to the cartoon.
What is it now? Is it clutch trigger?
Crotch trigger. Mm-hmm. Crotch trigger, like the giant.
Oh
gun,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It looks so weird that way when you see him like that.
It kind of does, man.
Starscream, fire me!
That was much. Hey, Ron, you have a bit of feedback coming from your end. Is your phone like sitting on a rocky table or anything like that?
No, I'm holding it. I'm in my kitchen.
Oh, okay.
But
someone in the chat wrote you were washing dishes.
Speaking of which, those Foley effects for the Transformers.
Yo, it did sound like pots and pans being banged together when the Transformers were fighting. Since we're on the subject,
even when they were walking too.
I'm telling you, like they had to have been like, man, we need to find legit sound effects for these Transformers, and they just approached one of the, the board members and told their kid, hey, here's all these pots and pans, just start chucking them around. Oh, here's a cardboard box too. Throw that shit around too. It's just gold.
That shit is the best, man. You can't beat those sound effects. But all right. Well, we've held off enough, but we might as well get into the 1986 animated movie. Probably still to this day the best movie Transformers has ever had. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask Ron pretty much his backstory on the movie, man, because mine ties into his. But Ron, well, how did you come across the movie, man?
Well, as I said before, I mean, I was a lifelong Transformers fan, and I'll actually walk out of the kitchen so I can actually tell the story.
Awesome.
All right. Like I said before, I always wanted to go to this movie, and my parents, for whatever reason, they were never big movie people, so I never saw it in theaters in its very short run in theaters. Like, for the longest time when I would even see the ads, I always thought it was going to be advertising a movie that was coming on, like, every once in a while they used to have, like, the G.I. Joe movies, and they would play the whole 5-shot on a Sunday, and I thought the movie was coming out, like, on a Sunday one day. So I would skip church for, like, weeks, hoping to see this movie, and it never showed up. And then all my friends were saying they saw it in the movie theater, and like cursed. And Donnie and Reggie and a friend of ours, Trey, saw it, and so I never saw it in theaters. So then a friend of mine, Fred, he this was like the biggest deal of tech in the day. They would always rent these movies, and then they would record movies as they rented them. And so I borrowed Transformers from him for like a couple of weeks, and I watched it like 3 or 4 times a day, to the point that I memorized the movie and still watch it like religiously, like every year at least watch it once. And so that movie, that was my movie. And every time anyone asks me my favorite movie, I still always to this day say it's Transformers the movie from 1986.
What? Yeah,
by far.
Now you have to signify which movie it is, basically.
Yeah, of course. Because I mean, and then like I teach middle school kids, and so they think that the new movies are amazing, and I have to tell them why they're so dumb.
You're doing God's work, sir.
Somebody has to. I'm like, you kids don't understand. Like, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about these other movies later, but it's like it's so bad, and it's so many bad things, and it's like the person who is Spike in those movies is so unlikable as a human being.
You mean
Yeah, I mean, just a horrible person in general, and then like, but to see Spike on the cartoon grow up to be a man and have a child that he is not taking care of. He just fucking these big giant robots.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that movie, and all of Hot Rod's transformations. Every single one of them is just a classic. Every time he transforms, it's the best.
That's one of the coolest aspects about the movie. I wanted to ask you, since you have kids, have you shared the movie with them, or do they just roll their eyes when you start playing it?
Yeah, they don't really appreciate it as much as I do. Like, I think my oldest, she tolerates it, and she accepts that I'm a huge nerd, and she'll go to the comic movies with me and enjoy them. And then my youngest, she's like, what is wrong with you? You're a grown man. And she's 5, and so it's just awful that she has no interest in anything that I like.
Oh my god! Well, my coming into Transformers the movie actually has a lot to do with Ron. Years ago, I lived in Key West, and I've told the story on Gundam and other Flip the Script and whatnot. When I lived in Key West, Florida, from 1985 to 1989. That island at the time had 1 theater and 2 screens. That was it. In 1986, when Transformers the movie dropped, we had no chance of getting it. And what was funny is when Transformers the movie was advertised, it was advertised as it was advertised like out of the blue on the TV show. They would advertise the movie and they would say, "Will Optimus Prime survive?" And it's like, what? What the fuck are they talking about? And then the movie came, and I was dying to watch it. My boy Robert went away to Oklahoma for the summer, and he said he saw it like 3 times, and it's like, motherfucker, what? We went up to as a family, we went up to Miami for a weekend for a friend's wedding, and luckily enough, Transformers was showing in the theaters at the time. I begged my dad to take us, but we were so busy that weekend going to the wedding and all this other shit that I didn't get the chance to go see it. So that was like my one opportunity to see that shit. I think that weekend or around that time, the movie that we did get in the theaters was Masters of the Universe.
Cool.
And I had no interest in seeing that, but I got dragged to it anyway. But I was pissed. And for years I was pissed because we did not own a VHS. My dad went out and picked the losing horse, which was the fucking Betamax video player. So when Transformers came out on home video, everybody and their mother had got the chance to rent it. And surprisingly, all the times they rented it, their parents didn't want them to have company inside the house. So I didn't get to fucking see that movie at all when I was coming up in Key West. It wasn't until I moved to Orlando in 93 and met Ronnie in 94 that I finally got to borrow a copy of the tape from him, and I got to sit down and watch Transformers the movie in its entirety. The funny thing is when I got it from him, I believe your version at the time was the FHE release, right? Yeah, so it wasn't in the version where Spike actually cursed. Ronnie had mentioned at the time that Spike curses in the movie. Well, on the Family Home Entertainment release, there was no curse words in it. They cut that out. So we couldn't even have the chance of watching that movie uncut until several more years later when a local store got a version of the movie in. It was Florida Oriental Trading, for those who remember me mentioning that in other shows. But yeah, Florida Oriental Trading got the uncut version of the movie on bootleg tape, and we bought the shit out of that, bro.
Oh yeah, it was hideous. It was so ugly. It was like like when you see it now, like I can watch it on DVD and you see like what it looks like. I mean, I was willing to spend as much as it took to get that movie, but it looks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
God, it looks so bad.
It was rough, but we were pleased as punch because we could watch that shit with Spike saying, was it holy shit? What do we do now? Oh shit, what do we do now? Yeah, exactly. You know, all for that and open, damn it, open from Ultra Magnus, man, completely intact, dude. It was great. And then, of course, years later, it came out on DVD. But that's my pathetic, sad story.
That's tragic, man. This is like some Macbeth shit, right?
Yeah, it's some hard stuff. But Fred, what was your experience with seeing the movie? Because so far, I don't think Ronnie didn't get to see it in the theater, and I sure as fuck didn't get to see it in the theater. So, did anyone here in the chat get to see it in the theater at all?
I did. Yeah.
You did, Fred? I'm sure. You went back in time?
86.
You went back in time, bro?
Little embryo sitting there in the seat enjoying himself.
Fucking Doctor Who, that shit.
I was conceived in the theater during the screening of Transformers.
Yeah. Well, Fred, what was your experience with seeing the movie?
I actually saw the movie back when the '07 movie was floating around, when it was about to come out, and I kind of wanted to do my homework because my dad, he's a TV buff, so he was like, yeah, Transformers was back in my day, when I was growing up and stuff. This is what kind of my shit was. So he methods the movie, and we watched it, and it was kind of interesting because the animation, it's still amazing, but it was just like, oh man, 80s animation, that's kind of how I got introduced to like 80s kind of anime stuff and style like that. So I saw it, late, after I kind of had grown out of the franchise, like after Beast Wars and stuff. So that, along with, I'm going to say, the Michael Bay movies kind of got me back into the franchise, and, I'm thankful for mostly the 86 movie. Fuck those other movies. We'll get to that later. Yeah, man, I love that movie with the fucking awesome soundtrack that it has.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Stan Bush. Fucking who was the guy who did the orchestral stuff, like the Unicron theme?
Was
and
it
stuff?
Vince DiCola.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
it was Nicole, I think. Yeah.
Between Unicron's theme and the Death of Optimus Prime, spoilers, those two tracks.
It's being showed right now on stream, so.
Those two tracks are godlike still today. Like, I love that soundtrack.
Yeah, the Death of Optimus Prime still brings a tear to the eye, man. It still
Oh, yeah,
messes me
definitely.
up, dude. It's like, and it must be Pavlovian, because
Yeah. Retweet if you cry every time.
nice. Michael, yeah, Michael, what was your experience with seeing the movie for the first time?
The very first time was actually, it came on TV one time during the time that Optimus Prime's Power Master toy was coming out. There was like a live action segment, and the commercial buffers was with a guy in like an Optimus Prime suit, and some random kid who got roughed up at school one day that Optimus had to tell a story to. That was my first time seeing the movie.
Oh, right on. So did you see it like on television, or did you? I take it you saw it like on broadcast TV then.
Yes, it was.
Nice.
I don't know which station it was, but like I said, they had whipped up an actual, like I said, beginning and extra segment at the end, and they even ended the broadcast with the music video of Stan Bush's A Touch.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice. If anything, yeah, I managed to, after I finally watched it on tape, I saw the broadcast airing of Transformers because I guess they re-aired Generation 1 and they called it G2, and they aired it like a 5-part miniseries, and, of course, all butchered. But it was there. But yeah, it was pretty dope. Next up, let's go with Highest Metal, man. How did you come across it?
Well, originally, I first watched it when I pretty much slept over my dad's work. Don't ask questions why. And I pretty much rented the movie then. I was still too young to really understand, Transformers in general. But eventually, in Christmas 2004, I actually ended up getting the movie, which was kind of convenient because 2005 was right around the corner. So it's like, oh, sweet. And then, of course, obvious reasons of what we're seeing right now, Death Optimus Prime really fucked me up at that point. And I did end up picking up the what was it? The 20th anniversary edition that was released not too long ago.
Absolutely.
Back in so I picked that up and loving that. But I also love in the interviews that they had with the bonus features, they're talking about the decisions of why they pretty much made all those rash decisions, and it was like, oh yeah, we just want to sell all the new toys and stuff. So the original theory was let's just have everybody run down a canyon while getting shot at, and whoever survives continues their toys. And everyone's like, no, we gotta have more story to it. It actually got so severe to the point with the Death of Optimus that I guess some kid actually locked himself in his room for like 2 weeks or whatever.
I heard about
and they
that,
actually
yeah.
they had to get like the executives in to like convince the kid, oh, Optimus is gonna come back, only to kill him off like an episode later. So it's like, gee.
A mind warped zombie. That'll make
Yeah.
you feel better.
Yeah.
But
That's
so
terrible.
it's like, Optimus is back, and it's like now he's just getting sent to the sun.
Yeah. Imagine how mentally scarred that'd be, like as a kid seeing the episode anyway, like Dark Awakening and all. Anyway, it's like fuck. That stuff scars you when you're like young, probably, and all that. So.
Yeah.
True. Robin, what was your experience with seeing the movie for the first time?
For me, I was probably way too young to see the movie in the theaters or anything, so I never got the chance to really do that back in the day. I'd say about 2000 and maybe 2002, 2004 or something is when I probably managed to get hold of a VHS copy of the movie finally, like a decent copy and all that, and just watch it. It had some weird audio though, and all that, like it was kind of muffled or whatever, and all that. And eventually, then I got the first DVD release I did over here that Madman did, and there was better quality, better audio, and all that stuff, and looked better, and all that. And overall, the movie, it's like it's this nice big setting up point for like this transition point between the original series onto like past the 2005 point in terms of the in story continuity stuff. And all that, like like setting up the new characters and all that stuff. But yeah, at the same time, we lost like a bunch of the old ones at the same time.
Oh yeah,
during the course of the movie.
Movie had a lot of blood on its hands, or I should say Energon blood.
A lot of oil.
Yeah,
a lot of oil.
I sent Sober that link earlier in the week. It's like there's a list on Wikipedia that's got some confirmed and who's dead and who's alive kind of thing. Actually, I believe at one point.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what it is right now, but yeah, there's some off-screen deaths and there's some other deaths that are like in the scripts and things, and you can't tell like who's quite alive or dead sometimes when you look at it and all that. So because it's pure chaos.
Well, it's like the opening scene with everyone getting massacred inside the ship, and you're just going, "Holy fuck!" It's like you've seen like Prowl, and, like he has like smoke coming out of his mouth and eyes and shit like that, and you're just watching everyone drop, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
The kids of America were traumatized that summer. Let me tell you. It's
funny that it's a cartoon, and you think about like if that was actually live action and real people that was happening to. Like just think about how those people would be getting murdered.
If it was like, G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah. That's insane.
Let me go last when it comes to the origins of watching the movie, because I have a pretty epic tale to tell with mine. So let everybody else go first, because I don't want to have them be the run up to my epic story.
No problem. Fort Zero. What was? Oh, go ahead, bro.
I'll just finish up. Sorry, and all I wanted to finish up was two other little bits. Was Unicron seeing him in action was pretty damn awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also, it set up later for the Quintessons and the Junkions. For season 3 and 3 as well, who played their parts at times. So that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, no problem. Fort Zero.
Well, again, I wasn't even thought of by my parents when this came out in theaters. But I don't remember exactly when I first watched it. I swear I've hit my head far too many times to actually recall certain details. But when I did see it, I saw it before I saw anything else Transformers related, actually. So I came in there, I knew who Optimus Prime was, but everyone else might have well has been, I don't know. Just I had no clue where anyone else is, but Optimus was, and then 20 minutes into the movie, the only character I know is dead.
Oh shit! Wild stuff. Well, if anything, any other things happened while you watched it, or pretty much that was the first thing you ever got to see, Transformers wise. That's actually pretty cool that you got to see the movie first.
Yeah, and like Fred said, the soundtrack just sucks you in. It's perfectly timed in all the right places.
Yeah, it's a amazing soundtrack. That and the voice acting, I gotta say, and this is throughout the Transformers series. Really, the voice acting is definitely is definitely one of the highlights of watching Transformers. And you have a lot of voice acting legends in the show, like Frank Welker and Peter Cullen. Go ahead.
And then of course you've got Leonard Nimoy takes over for Galvatron, and you can just pick that out from like a mile away.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know who blackmailed him, but you have Orson Welles in his last role ever in this movie. I mean, so final he didn't even get to finish the role.
Damn!
Boy, was he!
What's that?
I said, boy, was he angry about that. How this, like, he would say, like, I got to voice a toy that shot other toys.
A man who is so crucial to cinema. It is the last thing he wanted to do. I'm not sure exactly what the circumstances were, but he did a damn great job as Unicron, man. Just the bass of his voice and the way they mixed his voice was incredible, man. I watched that when I watched the movie on a good stereo system, man. He still rocks it, man. I heard that at the end of the movie, I guess towards the end of the recording, he had already passed away, so they had to have Leonard Nimoy stand in.
He passed about 4 months into it or whatever, and it was like that was officially his last role ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
They had to have like Leonard Nimoy record his last line. Apparently, I'm not sure if that was true or not.
I heard it was like he literally just finished recording it and then he passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess it's the role that killed him.
He went out with a bang.
And he is salty in the afterlife for that.
Where's my Oscar?
Well, freaking nuts.
To finish up there, though, which one you mentioned? Them dying in it, and that's for the first thing for kids to see.
I think it might have been Ronnie.
Yeah, that might have been me.
Yeah, but so yeah, I agree with that. Except for there's the one thing that even as a kid I didn't get is when is it Prowl that gets shot first when they get in the ship?
Yeah,
yes?
yeah, he was.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
He gets shot in the shoulder and he just drops, and it's like
That was Braun. That was Braun.
Oh,
Braun got shot. Oh yeah, Braun got shot. Yeah.
Gets shot in the shoulder and he just drops like, oh god, fatal injury, and it's like, wait, I can get shot in the shoulder and that's instant death? Well,
yeah.
But
Braun is like a weird robot because he has like his head and shoulders are in the same area.
Yeah, kind of.
He was supposed to be able to take a lot of damage. That was like his thing.
yeah, I know. He takes this one shot, he goes down, yet like Ironhide and Ratchet get like shot to shit, and Ironhide's still alive. He's like,
I guess the excuse was that they were low on energon.
Maybe,
and that's the reason why their defenses were low. But yeah, that is weird that they all went out pretty fucking swift. But
I mean,
also, Scavenger got a lucky shot on Prowl though, because it went through like one of his vehicle mode glass lights and hit him internally though. Anyway, so that's maybe how he got lucky on that though. Anyway, and killed him. So because if you look at the way it pierced him, it goes through. It makes a little small bang inside, and it looks like it comes out the other end as well. So it probably went inside that way through one of his lights in his car mode and just tore him up inside and all that though.
Jesus Christ. Brutal, man, brutal. Well,
Dexter, the Transformers edition.
Highest metal, man. What were your thoughts on the movie?
Oh god, where to begin? It was actually my very first introduction into Generation 1. I had not seen anything else but this at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew who Optimus Prime was because it's pretty damn obvious, but it's I guess to say the other characters just didn't really affect me as much because I didn't know them. But once again, when you get to kill off Prime, it's like, what's the point of me fucking watching this? But other than that, I fucking love the soundtrack to this movie. It is probably up there on my favorite soundtracks of all time. And it's like, I don't know, Vince DiCole, he knows how to do his shit.
Mm-hmm.
He really fucking does. And Stan Bush still even fucking has it even to this day. But yeah. I guess that's it for me. But
I gotta agree with you, man. If anything, that's the one takeaway. I was listening to a podcast I like to listen to a lot called the Schmoes Know movie podcast, and Christian, one of the Schmoes, he said he took a girl on a date and rocked the shit out this fucking soundtrack. she had no idea what the shit was wrong. But when he admitted that on the show, they just did nothing but make fun of him. It's like, no, man, I'll do that shit too. Fuck it. I ain't ashamed. But Eric, man, we're finally down to you, sir.
All right.
Go ahead.
I will try to make this as quick as possible, but this was like, whenever something really awesome happens in my life, I kind of remember it cinematically, so I'll try to paint a quick picture for you without droning on for an hour and a half. But it was December of 1995. I had just recently got Super Mario World Yoshi's Island, and my mom had been put into jail or like court-ordered rehab for like 6 months. And so I remembered that my grandmother had gotten me Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and I had to go stay with a friend of my mom's and her older teenage son. So I was having a really, really, really epically crappy Christmas. Like, stuff was just going on, all that good stuff. So I come in, and all I've got is Yoshi's Island and this older teenage kid who's basically there with me while I'm staying at his mom's. He looks at me and he's like, "So, do you want to play your game?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, I'm really sheepish and young and squeaky and everything. So he lets me play Yoshi's Island, and he's like, "You ever played Super Scope?" And I was like, "What's Super Scope?" And so he pulls out his Super Scope system, and we play that game that has the robots and stuff in it and everything. And I'm like, "Dude, this is like Transformers. This is awesome." And he's like, "Have you seen the Transformers movie?" And I'm like, "The what?" He pulls out the tape of the Transformers movie. It was not the family entertainment version. It was the uncut, they cussed in it and everything version.
That's what's up.
He puts in the tape. He lets me watch it. Like, I'm sitting here glued to the movie all night long. I watch it 3 or 4 times back to back to back. Optimus dying and Starscream dying, and I'm just like, what is this? Why did this happen? Why are all these characters dying? And then like I didn't recognize anybody. I didn't know who Cup was. I didn't know who Omega Supreme or any of those characters. I didn't know any of them. And he actually starts bringing out his Cup and his he had Cup, Blur, Rodimus. Yeah, he had all of those older toys, and I was just like, "Where did you get these?" And he's like, "My mom bought them." I'm like, "Where in the hell around here do they sell these things?" And so he lets me play with them and everything. And for like I remember watching that movie, playing Super Scope and everything, listening to The Touch and and all the epic theme songs and everything throughout that thing. I had just a little bit gotten into Weird Al Yankovic, or not Weird Al, Weird Al, and the Dare to Be Stupid came on there, and I was like, this thing's got fucking Weird Al in it, oh my god! So it was just like, everything about that movie was amazing, and that like cemented my love for Transformers more than anything, because I knew that they had a movie that cussed, and people died, and blood, and comedy, and like Unicron, and like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then when I asked him, I was like, "So with Optimus dead and Rodimus Prime's in charge, like, is there any more episodes?" And he told me that was the last episode. So for the longest time, I thought that the Transformers movie was the last episode of all Transformers forever. So when, like, I meet Michael a couple years later at the mall through a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament thing, and he starts telling me about, like, Headmasters and all this other stuff, I'm just like, there's more?
That's fucking nuts. Because this is what is this, pre-internet?
Oh yeah, way pre-internet. This is like 1995.
Oh shit. Well,
Yeah,
you guys have known each other a long time then.
I did not have internet until like 2002. So yeah.
Wild stuff, man. Holy shit, man. Again, I'm glad you got your first exposure to Transformers through the movie, man. That's amazing. Although if you guys got to see the TV show when it aired, that'd have been cool too. But no problem, man. I know that we have a few spots on the outline that we were supposed to hit. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump to the comics, and you guys can chime in if you'd like. I remember the Transformers comics that came out in the 80s, which were from Marvel at the time. And I know that the UK ones really got into some storylines that were highly lauded, and a lot of people still cite them to this day. I think, what's his name? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that you might have to remind me who he is. He's a big-time comic book writer.
Simon Furman?
No. Well, yeah, Simon was one of the writers, but there's... I forget his name. It'll come to me. But the one thing I do remember from the comics, and I brought this up on a stream that we did some time ago, is a character that I wish they would bring into the live-action movies, Circuit Breaker. She was a woman.
Oh yeah.
She was a woman that I don't remember the exact origin, but I know she was injured during a fight between the Autobots and Decepticons, and I think the government rebuilt her.
I'm actually
or something like that.
issue right now.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the issue right now. If I can pull it out.
No problem. Well, if that's the case, then maybe you can give me more insight or tell me exactly if I'm going off the chart. But
I gotta
when
find it.
when she was you got it.
I have like an entire crate filled with all the original comics, so I'm kind of looking through them right now.
Right on.
I got mine nearby, right near me as well for some of the Dreamwave and other stuff as well.
She definitely had a hard on for the Transformers in general. She didn't care if you were Autobot or Decepticon. You had to go. And she had these abilities where she could like manipulate them and cause them severe pain or even worse. And she was an interesting character, like one of the most interesting that I saw in the comic. The main character, human-wise, was a kid named Buster, which I guess they retconned and said that was Spike's cousin or something like that. Buster
or another brother or something.
Another brother or something like that. They called him Buster, which is he was just the comics version of Spike, really, in all truth.
But he had a power too, where he could actually control anything metal.
Oh, I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Yeah. he actually rebuilt Jetfire in the cartoon.
Wow.
I mean, not in the cartoon, in the comic.
In the comic books, right? Was that in the American comics or the UK?
Actually, I'm looking at right now. It is the American comic.
Right on. Anybody have anything to add about the comics at all?
I have some small bits to start us off with, I suppose. With the American comics, though, pretty much, and this is also relevant for all of this, because Bob Bidansky actually created all the character profiles and all that stuff for all the Transformers and all that stuff. Like, all those profiles, all those backstories, all those text-back stuff, he did all that. He did all that stuff. So he pretty much laid out all that stuff for all the bots, all the cons, all that.
Wow, nice.
And Simon Furman took over in the last 10 episodes of the US run, of the Marvel US run for the Transformers. But I've heard this from a friend, and it might not be 100% true, but I'm fairly sure it is. The UK side stories and all that stuff were done in a pretty similar time frame to when the time the US stories were being done, because so they would keep kind of a consistency or just fill in gaps. Mm-hmm. So that's why some of them had like original stories, like Dinobot Hunt from the UK run, or Target 2006 and other ones like that.
Right.
But and then there was also other ones where, in one of the side stories, you get more of a follow up with Straxus.
Yeah.
And why his deal is he hates Megatron and all that stuff, and Megatron ends up killing him in one of those UK side story runs.
Right.
So yeah, there's also all sorts of ones like that.
Found it.
So.
You found it? Go ahead.
All right, yeah, I just pulled it out right now. Yep, Circuit Breaker. You guys can keep talking. I'm just gonna scan through it.
That's cool. Problem. I'm done.
Anybody else have anything to add about the Transformers comics from the '80s? The ones from Marvel.
Real quick, like again, it feels like when it comes to the Transformers franchise, like it feels. I personally feel like the comics kind of have the brass balls to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Like the first 4 issues, it's like okay, standard Transformers, and then issue 5, like I wish I was a kid back in the day to see like trying to get that next issue of Transformers, and the cover being just Shockwave standing there, and he writes all are all dead, like the Transformers are all dead, and just reading that and how Shockwave takes over.
Yeah, like he blasted on the wall. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like he blasted onto the wall, he engraved or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that art, like for that, and it's still iconic. Like the comics, the IDW comics, like call back to it. Like some variant issues try to do that again with Shockwave, and it's a chilling cover, and like how the comics just go the distance and go to different places that the cartoon wouldn't even touch, and that's really interesting. And I like it, and how that happened, and it's interesting how the UK comics kind of fostered the franchise after the TV show aired, because the UK kind of kept the franchise alive for the longest time in the 80s, from the transition from G1 to G2, and then eventually to the Beast Wars era, where Transformers was almost forgotten.
Wow.
And it's interesting how the UK kind of saved the franchise, yet whenever Hasbro does anything with the franchise, they always get the short end of the stick.
Oh, that's
like they barely get any toys over there. They barely get any comics. They barely get anything. Anything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame when they're the ones who saved the franchise.
Wow.
Actually, that does remind me of some other shit that's really important. Number one, Simon Furman also ends up creating a whole branching bit with Earth Force though and that stuff as well though. That's kind of confusing. It's like a little different side story, alternate storyline to the main comics continuity and all that stuff. It's kind of confusing sometimes to think about it, but then some of the other characters end up still going into like the Generation 2 comic and all as well, like Bludgeon and everything like that. Also, he did create 2 important characters. Death's Head, Death's Head, and Primus.
Oh, okay. I know Primus goes back into the lore quite a bit.
Yep, he does.
Man, what significance does Death's Head have?
He shows up a few times. He actually ends up killing 1 or 2 Transformers, I believe, also in some of the issues as well. Like, I believe he kills either Shockwave and Scourge, I think. So, yeah, he's kind of like almost like an ally in some ways because he's a bounty hunter, but he's just kind of around at times.
Right on.
So.
Right on.
He ended up in the Marvel comics, like actually in like the mainstream comics, like in the mid-late 90s.
Yeah, I want to know what you thought about the Marvel Comics run from the 80s and the 90s. Ron, since you're a big-time comic collector, did you ever get the chance to collect the comics in mass? Or?
No, I never really got into the comics. I guess my whole canon was the cartoon, and like the comics were just too strange to me. And I never could get into the art style. I mean, I got into the art when Dreamwave started doing it, like a couple years back, like almost like a decade back by now. And that's when I got into it, but I could never get into the artwork of the 80s Transformers. Only thing I really have from that would be the Transformers vs. G.I. Joe comic book. I have that miniseries. And then I have, I guess, around the time the movie came out, they had like these 3 issues where they had like all these little stats and histories of all the Transformers, and I had that. Well, maybe it was 4 issues, but it doesn't really matter. But I had a bunch of those. I had those books, and that was it. So I had like 8 books of the Transformers back then, and that was really about it.
For shame. I'm just kidding.
I also...
Well, anybody else with any insight on the 80s? Go ahead, Highest Metal.
Yeah, so I just scanned through the comic. Yeah, so Circuit Breaker, she was originally a scientist that got, involved during a battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons and got paralyzed from the battle. And so she's pretty much confined to a wheelchair, but whenever she pretty much breaks into her Circuit Breaker outfit, which is basically her entire body gets covered in these circuits, she can pretty much, now she can move, but she can also fly around and proceed to electrocute just about anything she wants.
Oh, shit.
And so because of, the Transformers causing her to be paralyzed, she has an undying hate for them all.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, another character that I thought was really interesting in the comics was the Mechanic, who was like this like deranged, basically like con artist or whatever, who he broke into Ratchet's into his vehicle form and was able to steal a bunch of his weapons.
What?
And we pretty much...
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And like he pretty much like held the entire base under siege when everyone was out except for Ratchet. And like he even came back with his own like sort of exo arm thing that could like rip trees out of like the ground. Like he was throwing them at like Bumblebee and Blaster and stuff like that. But he was a really cool character.
I vaguely remember him. Holy shit!
I kind of remember.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I kind of remember that as well. Now he brings it up. Yeah, it's been ages since I read it, but I remember that.
No problem.
And I put it in the chat also. Issue 4 of the UK run actually has an alternate ending where actually the cons die, and it's the second link in that I put there. It's got a little picture of it exactly from that ending.
Also, it's funny how Odd was... keep going.
That's okay, because apparently with the UK run, they didn't know if it would go past 4 issues, so they made it at the time. We could just cut off at 4 episodes. We got an ending where the cons die in battle against the Autobots. So, yeah, they did that for the UK run.
Right on.
They did that. So...
Well, if
anyway.
anything, I know we could talk about it for quite some time, but anything last to add, Highest Metal, before we move on to the next section?
It's kind of comedic how many times Optimus Prime actually dies in the comic book series.
I've heard.
There was one where all the Autobots and Decepticons got sent into like a virtual reality thing, all for the sake of whoever wins gets a generator, and whoever loses really gets their brains blown out.
Oh, damn.
And
oh yeah,
the Autobots win it, But yet, Prime decides that he should die due to the fact that in the virtual reality game, he lets the in-game civilians, some of them, fall to their deaths. And so he's like, it is not the Autobot way to let others die, therefore I must die for them. And it's like, but they're not real.
That makes no sense.
That's what happened, though.
God damn. Prime is always throwing his life away. I swear to God.
That's also a
He's
theme,
like-
anyway, Optimus dying. That's also a
He is
theme
like-
across the Transformers series.
He is literally the Transformers equivalent of Hero Yui from Gundam Wing.
Jesus.
Every opportunity he can get, he'll blow himself up.
That's ridiculous. Well, if anything, for those, I don't know if have the comics been made digitally available since their initial release in the 80s?
I think so. I think they have.
If you go on
IDW. Go ahead.
If you go on Comixology right now, they have the original Marvel run as a collection, but they just took off all of the Marvel paraphernalia that was on the comics, but it's all the original stuff.
Right on.
Yeah, because IDW currently has the license to it, so they're doing like big collection packs like Transformers Volume, etc., etc. And they also have a spin-off comic called Regeneration, which continues from issue 84 of the original, or issue number 80 of the original Marvel series. So it's a continuation of the story that they're doing, and it just wrapped up, I think, last year too. So,
damn, it's good to hear that they're in circulation still. That's pretty cool, because I'd be a little salty if they decided not to release those digitally for people who want to check them out now. But not bad. We're gonna combine pretty much the next section that we're going to talk about, which is the Japanese cartoons, at least the first Japanese cartoons, which are Headmasters, Master Force, and Victory. I'll be real quick on my exposure to this. I remember buying a bootleg tape of Headmasters from Florida Oriental Trading as well, like the first couple of episodes. And when I sat down and watched them, I was kind of mind-fucked on how certain Autobots were still around, and because it takes place in around the same time as the third season, but I guess it predates the movie in some ways. I think it's just really a different continuity, really, because the movie came out in Japan after Headmasters, but before Master Force, right?
Yeah. Technically, it's all still a part of G1.
Yeah.
I think to my knowledge, because I'm kind of hazy on it, the Japanese continuity, I think they just flat out ignore the movie.
Yeah.
And then just transition from Optimus to Rodimus, and then it goes into Headmasters, then Master Force, and then the Victory, and then eventually Zone, which is a spin-off OVA too. That's after all that stuff.
Nice. Yeah. All I really remember of it, the biggest thing I remember from it was how foppish Daniel was. Like, Daniel was mad foppish. I couldn't. It was like night and day between the TV show and between the American TV series and the anime, and that just kind of threw me off completely. But if anybody has something to mention about either Master Force, Victory, or Headmasters, feel free to speak up. If anything, you can write something in the chat that you have something to say, and you'd be more than welcome to. But Fred, did you check out any of these shows at all?
I tried, and every time I watch Master Force, I fall into a coma. I don't know how, but I swear I could be like, I could drink 10 cups of coffee and be wired as hell, and I will still fall asleep to that show.
No doubt.
It is like, it has the same appeal of something like a Brave series, like Gao Gaigar or anything like that.
Right.
But I don't know what's wrong where I can't watch it. Like, maybe they aren't the best cartoons, but it's nice if you want to check them out. Shout Factory has released Victory, Master Voice, Headmasters. They haven't released Zone yet, which Zone is just a straight-to-video release that introduces Diatlas and stuff like that.
Yep.
But if you're interested, you can, but they're not the best, but they're not the worst. And it's really just one of those series, like, if you're really, 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 really curious, you could go ahead and look at them. But yeah, it's interesting for the toy line and stuff, I think.
Nice, not bad. Robin, are you back?
Yeah, I am.
All right, go ahead. What's your insight on any of these series?
Okay, on the Japanese series, Headmasters, I think I find it a little bit kind of interesting that they okay.
Go ahead.
Interesting that they tried to continue going on with the story after season 3 ended and all that stuff, rather than following the US story like more. Headmasters, I kind of consider it to be meh or kind of weakish of the three, because even though I try to watch it and it's like still going on with the same story, it's like some of the stuff in that series is just like, what, crazy, kind of, and not big on it.
Right.
Also, Daniel and Wheelie are even more aggravating than they are in season 3. So that's already a knock against against Headmasters. Victory just had this whole stupid attitude to me that really bugged me about, oh, I'm your opponent now, face me! With like honor and swords to off. It's like, how many times are you gonna keep on bringing up that effing line, you guys? So that was like a knock against Victory, and also, I think his name was Jan or something. Yeah. Also, the kid was kind of annoying as well. Yeah. Also, they degraded Jinrai into a power-up for Star Saber, so that's another knock on Victory. And my favorite is Master Force. Easily Master Force, because that series starts off with a simple idea. You got a few pretenders, like Autobot and Decepticon pretenders on Earth, but then as the conflict starts to escalate, things get a little bit nastier as you get a few Godmasters and the Headmaster Juniors on both sides, because pretty much you got Transectors, which are basically Transformer bodies,
right?
And then the humans form like how Godmasters are like the Power Masters. They form the engine blocks. So like on Power Master Prime, it's like, he forms like in the little chest stomach area in robot mode, and pretty much that makes it that with the Headmaster Juniors, they're just pretty much Headmasters, like the three kids. There's three kids on both sides, like Minerva, Shooter, and Cab or something.
I can't remember. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's a long story. Even
It certainly is.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
But basically, the three kids on both sides become, Headmaster Juniors and all that stuff, like willingly, and that pretty much makes it, with the exception of like one or two other characters later in the series. Pretty much all the human characters are far from useless fucking distractions. They all become Transformers.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually ends up being interesting in that way to watch it. Also, God Jinrai is fucking awesome.
Well, holy shit.
That's all I'll say.
That is a beautiful toy. Just saying. And since we brought up Pretenders, fuck Metal Hawk. I'll get into that later. I will get to that later. But
Left
fuck
field,
that
baby.
guy. Thank
Also,
you
Overlord was
for
pretty awesome.
Mhm.
Also, Overlord was pretty awesome. Yep.
Well,
that sexy bastard.
Any word
I'm
on how the show was rebranded for the U.S. market? I think you probably already went into some of that. Any particular toys from that series that you guys particularly liked? Just like a favorite in particular.
Michael, do you have anything from Headmasters in that collection of yours? I can't remember what you don't and don't have out of that thing.
Well, if we're talking about toys, some of the Pretenders I had, and then I got that reissue 6-shot, which had Master Force on that. But that one collection that you helped me get, I'm not sure if y'all watched it, but the Malaysian dub of Headmasters in English is freaking hilarious.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember I found that online and got that for you. Yeah.
Galvatron, you found a bunch of Soundwave's parts and put them back together with some new parts and made new Soundwave.
It's like, it's like they have to change some of the names in the dub to actually sound like they're typical humans. So it's like Billy and what was the one Joe or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Because they call Blaster out Billy or something in Headmaster.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Fortress Maximus was called Battleship Bruce.
What?
Just not kidding. It's his real stuff that's out
And
there.
quick trivia about the dub: the same guys who did the dubs for Headmasters and stuff later on, when Sony got the rights to the Godzilla movies, the '90s Godzilla movies, was the same exact dub group. So when you're if you were to watch those Godzilla movies and then hear the same people voicing like Chrome Dome and stuff like that, it's like, oh, that's awkward. Wow, this is terrible. That was a horrible dub group.
It sounds like the same dub group that did like all the Malaysian dubs for all the different animes that aired over there, like Malaysian English or whatever. I've seen some of them on YouTube, like the one for Double Zeta, Gundam, and whatnot. Man, it's that none of them. Yeah, exactly. None of them are good. Not a damn one of them. But no problem. We'll go ahead and we'll move on to the '90s, which features Beast Wars.
Yay!
This is where some of you guys can come into prowess. We'll go and we'll start with Eric. Basically, what are your thoughts on Beast Wars as a whole? Like, do you find it as one of your favorite series, or how do you feel about it?
Beast Wars to me is my favorite Transformers series. Like, I've never gotten into Prime, I never got into animated, I never got into any of the Unicron trilogy or whatever it is. My Transformers is Beast Wars, because, like, to me, those characters were the best characters that I've ever seen in a Transformers series. They actually have personality, they actually grow, they change, they go through actual, like, trauma. You know, people die, people come back. You know, it's like, I was talking about it a couple of streams ago. It's kind of like how it was an entire series about 8 guys or 8 people on a planet, and they all had to fight each other, and that was it. There was nobody else on that entire fucking planet except for them. Yeah. And they lived like 8 miles from one another, and they basically were in like a trailer park war against each other, and that was the entire show. But they made it work so well because, like, season 1 was kind of rough with the animation, but that was the same company that did Reboot, and
Mainframe, if I recall.
Huh?
Mainframe, if I recall.
Yeah, Mainframe.
Yep, that's right.
Canadian base. They had all the Canadian voice actors. Me and Michael were joking about how the guy who did Rat Trap, Dinobot, Waspinator, Scott McNeil. Like, how he had to, they had to kind of trick him into having him do so many voices because he was supposed to get paid more or something. But it was just like when I watched the Transformers. I watched the original episodes, but I never watched enough to get plot lines or memorize a lot of the main characters. Then I watched the movie. Then I found out that there were more than that. Then Beast Wars happens, and it's like brand new. I came in right at the very beginning, and so I was able to watch that from season 1 to season 3. And when Beast Wars ended, when they went through that portal and left, and they went back to Cybertron, I was content. I was like, that's the end. That's my favorite characters are gone. Megatron is defeated. Transformers are done. They don't need to make no more. They will not do any better. And in my opinion, they haven't. but
then more did happen. Then Beast Machines fucking came along.
Well, we'll get to that later. But
yes, we will.
But it's just to me, that Megatron is the best Megatron because he actually. He isn't just evil for evil's sake. He's maniacal. He's plotting. He knows what the fuck he's doing. He's not just destroy everything. I'm dark and evil. He's maniacal, and I love that. They keep the trope of where all of his minions are not loyal. They're all backstabbing and conniving. You've got all of the loyal Autobots and everything. But then was it Beast Wars that introduced the Spark?
Yes.
Yeah, they would expand on it. Yep, they would expand on the whole Spark concept and everything there.
And so when I first learned that, I thought that the Matrix of Leadership was a Spark. So I was trying to interconnect all of my different things together, and I don't know, but it's just when I went back and I did that bumper that you played at the beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah.
And I remembered seeing they were all it was clips about a Waspinator getting murdered, but it was basically showing the plot of the seasons as they went along, and I was just like, oh, I remember that. I remember Tigertron and all these other characters showing up, and just how just more and more layers of awesome started showing up. But I'm done fanboy-gasming about Beast Wars, but the toys to me were one of the better ones. Somewhere around here, I still have an Optimal Optimus, the big gigantic one and the monkey one. I never got the Transmetal.
I've got him as well, actually. Yep, I've got him as
we
well.
know you do, Robin. We know.
Nice.
How do you know for sure, Eric? You reading my mind, man? You're not getting inside my head yet.
I'm sure it'd be real hard to figure out. Go ahead, Eric.
But I remember when they first was bringing out the toys before the show came out. Optimal Optimus and Megatron was an alligator and a bat.
Oh, Jesus.
And
there's a backstory behind that. Yeah, there's back
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah,
I'll
I got
tell-
those, and I was just like, okay, so this is Beast Wars, this is Transformers, okay. And then like I think it's like a couple weeks later or something, 5 o'clock in the morning, I get up for school, turn on Fox or whatever's in syndication or whatever it was, and then like there's Beast Wars, and I was just like, that's not a bat or an alligator. He's a monkey and a dinosaur. This is awesome.
What are you talking about, man? Truck, not monkey.
Okay.
The internet cries out. But no problem. Michael, any thoughts on Beast Wars at all? And if anybody has anything to add on Beast Wars, just write in the chat that you'd like to have something to say. But Michael
did. There we go.
Oh, well, thank you, Robin. But
Thank you, Robin.
Michael, anything you had on your mind about Beast Wars at all?
Quite a few things, but I'm going to try to be quick about it
Mhm.
while we're talking about the toys. And this happened late in G2, the introduction to the friction ball joint. And the possibility that, that it brought from that point of late G2 up to even a lot of current figures that we have today. I felt that was a milestone as far as the toys because Beast Wars made that standard.
Wow,
The
that's freaking
possibility of a lot of them were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, everybody has several favorites of Beast Wars, Waspinator, of course, being just about everybody's. But I personally have a soft spot for the Hannibal Lecter of Transformers, Rampage.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Rampage. That guy.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll get to all this in a moment.
Yes. Do you feel it? Do you feel it growing inside of you? Yes. Let the fear consume you.
He's about to have an Autobot with some fava beans and a fine Chianti. Is that what's going on?
Different grade of motor oil, but to each their own.
Anything else that comes to mind?
and of course, his foil depth charge, which led us to have one of the most ambiguous and gray line characters that we've had, seen as a heroic Maximal. Sure, he'd shape up when he needed to be, but he was not a team player.
At
he
first,
had only
nope.
one focus, and that was, like you said, by the time he ended up being a team player, he got killed for it.
Oh shit! I guess the moral to this story is stay evil. or
Stay gray,
stay a loner.
stay gray.
Stay gray, man. Stay morally stay morally ambiguous.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have to admit he was a trooper. I mean, he had full intentions. Primal already had connected the dots that Megatron was making the last bid for the Nemesis. And he knew it was in water. Depth charge was the only one that could, stop him before he got there. He would have succeeded if, of course, Rampage didn't, goad him, troll him into a little final duel there. But he was fully prepared to go against the Nemesis itself.
Yep. You could have had a chance to take it down before it all became a huge trouble. So
all it would have taken was a torpedo to hit that little sub-rail cart before it made it.
Right.
Yep, or blow up all the energon around the area as well. So it could have worked, but oh well. Such was not to be.
Indeed. I guess we'll go on to let's see here, Kyle. Fort Zero. What are your thoughts about Beast Wars?
Well, like Eric said, like that's almost pretty much what I saw after the original Transformers is Beast Wars, which was, it's just like at first you're like, what the heck is this? It's like, is this Transformers? I mean, there's Optimus, but that ain't no truck. But I really liked as they went along. As they said, it developed. It went along. Like you started out with, okay, well, we're on this planet, we're stuck here. But each episode, instead of like in G1 where it's like Megatron plots to do this and it's a horrible, stupid idea, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
This time the plots were actually, there was good reason behind them most of the time, and not all the times did they actually fully win per se, but they would delay maybe the inevitable. I mean, like, look what happened to Air Razor and Tiger. Is it Tigatron?
Tigertron. Yep.
Yeah. When that plot line revisited with whatever he was called later on, Air Tiger or whatever it was. Tiger Hawk, yeah. When Tiger Hawk showed up later, I was like, why do you resurrect my favorite characters as a combined entity that are of one mind? Like, why?
Like,
love story
like,
and Transformers.
that was a good love story, and you just suddenly, it's like, now they are the same person. Well, that sounds complicated. No, I rather liked it, especially because the way their transformations were, it almost wasn't too complicated. Like, most of them were just, like Cheetor, for example, he pretty much stood up, really, and that's how he transformed.
Yeah, and some parts unfolded and what, mostly.
Yeah. It's not like the G1 Transformers where Megatron's like, oh, well, let me just transform into this gun that's about maybe 1/10 my size. I'm sorry, I have to bring something into this. It's like FMA would be having a field day with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
they would.
Like, most of their transformations they'd stay about the same size or shape. And the toys, when you got to play them, where you could see how it would transform. It's real simple and easy, except Silverbolt. They break it. It also added I guess, like, for the first time you see more than one female character with Black Arachnia and Air Razor.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I rather like Black Arachnia because she's, again, like, I'd say, like, with Death Charge, she's committed to her cause, but she's in that little gray ground where she's not entirely committed to it if it doesn't suit her.
Yes.
And that was the other, I'm sure Eric will agree, that's the other little love story that was probably little nice and tidied up in that series.
That one always cracked me up because you've got the big-tittied evil Black Arachnia who's like wants to destroy everything. She's starting to turn evil, and then her boyfriends end up being the White Knight of the entire series, like the most honorable of them all. It was just like, really? This is the love interest? But it's weird looking back on it. You just kind of see that as like probably one of the more realistic aspects of a relationship between those two characters. Like, he really loved her despite her flaws, and she saw that eventually, and they ended up doing their thing, which was. But then, unfortunately, I think that started to spawn this weird thing in the fandom of actually having Transformers like have sex, and which is a thing now. But yeah,
actually, thank Rat Trap for that, because that one episode, Silverbolt comes back from actually talking with Black Arachnia, and Rat Trap's smart aleck little quote there was like, "Scout the enemy, huh? Find any new positions."
Yeah.
I can't believe that shit. Are you serious? Wow.
They did say that, yes.
Right in the childhood, there you go.
Well, you learn something new every day.
If I had to pick a favorite character, I think initially I preferred Rat Trap. Because, seriously, he's the comedy. Him and Dinobot were just gorgeous. Episode. But overall, throughout the series, I think I came to like Cheetor the most, because he's based off Hot Rod, and as he goes along, you see he matures.
Yeah.
I think from that childish to like almost a second in command.
Nice.
And I absolutely love his Transmetal 2 form.
Yeah, the designs in the series were unique. I wasn't crazy about the organic designs myself, but I appreciated the story in the show. I didn't really get to watch it all that much, so I don't know much about it. But I've been told to go back and run that back, as well as Transformers Animated. So I might just do that just to, and not only that, because I guess in Beast Machines, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, there's a tie into G1 in that series, if I recall. I won't get ahead of myself. Hey, Fred, what were your thoughts on Beast Wars?
Beast Wars was what got me into Transformers. It was my first series. My first Transformer was that Pterosaur was my first Transformer that I ever got.
Right on.
And because when I was a kid, I'm into dinosaurs and stuff like that, and of course Godzilla. So anything that looked like a dinosaur, I'm like, yes, I have to have this in my life. So when I'm seeing this T-Rex that transforms into a robot, I'm like, this is Valhalla. I'm in heaven now.
And it squirts water out of its mouth and everything.
My God, what black magic is this?
Megatron definitely had one of the better looking as his beast form. I mean, especially when he's talking.
Yes.
With his tiny little arms.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, just the series in general is just fantastic. It still holds up today. Favorite character, it's Megatron. Like no buts about it. It's fucking Megatron.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, aside from his design and the toys, it's just the character and how the whole event where whenever they get their transmetal bodies and they stumble upon the Ark and Megatron almost ends the universe by killing Optimus Prime.
Blasting him in the face. Yep.
Yeah. And just how he kind of expounded you, and you get these details of how the Predacons, who were the descendants of the Decepticons, are actually kind of treated as second-class citizens and are berated because they are the descendants of the Decepticons. Even though, at the end of the G1 cartoon, they, kissed and made up, essentially.
Right.
And tried to better the future of Cybertron. There is still this kind of almost race kind of discrimination between primal Maximals and Predacons, and that's like Transformers never really tackled that before.
I'd say it's still more the lingering hate from the Generation 1 war, I'd say, more than actual racial. There's just unfinished business, to them, probably, in a way.
Yeah, it's that too, and that's just a sideline, just this offshoot line that Megatron says as he is going on his way to kill Optimus Prime, and how he took the name Megatron from the original because he just idolized the original Megatron and how he ruled and stuff like that. So the whole series in general, with the relationships between the characters and stuff, was interesting. And interesting note about the toy line was that when Transmetal 2 rolled around, the reason why there was only about, I think, 5 different toys, the reason for that was because Hasbro was pouring a huge chunk of their money into Animorphs. Those toys. Animorphs. Yeah, that's the reason why we only got so many Transformers from Beast Wars, was because they were pouring a huge chunk of their development time into Animorphs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which were just outright terrible.
Oh, they were
I remember getting a lot of the. I remember not getting a lot of the original runs of the Transformers or the Beast Wars Transformers, but I got the recolored, renamed ones. Like I got instead of the green Megatron, I got the purple one that's a different Megatron, but it's a different name or whatever, and a different colored Dinobot. And I got that, like the Transmetal 2 line. They filled it with a bunch of just recolors, which after getting into newer iterations of Transformers and also My Little Pony and anything Hasbro does, we've learned that they just basically put a different head on top of it, put a different paint job, give it a different name, change the stats a little bit, give it a backstory, boom, new character.
That's right,
and
capitalism.
even more so, and even more so with the Japanese, where it's like, oh, there's an Optimus Prime figure. Okay, wait 2 months for them to come out with a Nemesis Convoy repaint. It's just gonna be a black version of Optimus Prime. Just wait.
Yeah.
It's like you have a calendar set up for when that's gonna happen.
it's like, all right, we got this Prime toy coming out. All right, how many months? We're taking bets. All right, $5 on tomorrow.
Well, any other thoughts before we move on to Robin, who I'm sure will regale us for about 2 hours?
All I'll say in brief was the writing stuff of the series was pretty interesting, though. Like I noted in the chat, though. Like DC Fontana for one episode did an episode crossing the Rubicon.
Yeah.
And also Simon Furman wrote the last episode of Beast Wars.
Oh wow, really? Wow.
Yeah, Nemesis Part 2. He's in the title on the practically at the start of the credits.
I'm glad to see that he actually got to contribute to an animated series. And DC Fontana, for those who don't know, she used to write quite a bit. She's had a storied career writing a lot of sci-fi novels, but she was one of the staff writers for the original Star Trek television series that came out in 1966, and she also worked on The Next Generation before she passed. So yeah, Dorothy Fontana, for those that don't know. If anything, I didn't know she worked on Beast Wars as well. That's pretty awesome.
She did. She just did that one episode, though, apparently, it seems.
Well, what's your favorite episode? We'll limit it to one. Because I know you probably have 19.
I haven't done the characters yet, sir. So hold on a minute. Anyway, I'll be quick.
All right.
Anyway.
Go for it.
Let's see. Dinobot. He hasn't been given any love at all yet. Dinobot has to be given some love, that guy. But also, for a second one, Rhinox. Big green. Yeah. Because other ones, everyone else touched on Black Arachnia, Cheetor, and Depth Charge, and I agree with that for the most part. For the Predacons, Inferno, Dinobot 2, and Tarantulas.
Nice.
It was Quick Strike. Quick Strike always hit me as like a really interesting character. Like his toy was kind of cool, but what they did with him in the show was really interesting too. Like I loved his character in that.
Somewhat. What was his, the gentleman's name? Michael, I think. Yeah, he touched on Rampage earlier, but to know that in the end that the Maximals created that twisted an experiment like a super soldier out of just experimenting with sparks and everything, just trying to make this ultimate weapon in a way, kind of is like, what the fuck did they make? It came out like practically a Predacon and all that though.
Jeez.
That's the thing.
And
they were trying.
Yeah, they're trying to recreate Starscream's spark in a way, and they almost succeeded in a way, I think. So, which links back to the original series as well in that way. But, and as much as he gets some flack, I mean, Dinobot 2, he starts off kind of, in a way, kind of bland, like he's this evil clone opposite, but as the series goes along, and all that, like, especially in the Nemesis two-parter finale, him changing that much makes you wonder what would have happened if he'd survived. It's like Dinobot's kind of back in a way almost, but then he dies yet again in the finale and all that. So it's like
you can't catch a break.
Nope. Nope. That's it.
Well,
and we've been going on to favorite episodes or
favorite episode. Go for
There's
it.
only one episode that's the best episode. That's when Rhinox farts the Decepticons to death. Like
stop.
That episode. The end. Best episode. 10 out of 10. Nothing tops it. Zeta sucks in comparison to that episode.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that's the Low Road. That's one of my favorites.
What's that now?
That's one of my favorites actually as well. I got on my list.
Oh, nice.
So,
Nice.
The Low Road.
Well, what would be your most favorite episode?
I
know it's like Sophie's Choice.
One episode only. 9.
Man, it would probably one of them is probably either Bad Spark or the whole Agenda trilogy and the whole Nemesis Pardas trilogy. So I'll just lump them all in together and leave them at that because the other ones, it take a little while. So that's it. And Bad Spark. That's it.
All right. Right on. Sorry, Fred, what's your favorite episode?
Probably the 2-part Nemesis when the whole everything just went balls to the wall crazy. Those 2 episodes were really, really. I really liked how it just wrapped everything up and tidied everything, and it was just fine. It was a perfect conclusion for the show. The other one, of course, is I forgot the name of the episode, but the one where Dinobot dies. Spoilers.
Code of Hero.
Yes,
Code of Hero.
Code of Hero. That was when we kind of delved into kind of the psychology of, which I love it whenever somebody goes into the psychology of a Transformer. Like, that's my shit. That episode just still to this day brings a tear to my eye.
It does to a lot of people's eyes, man.
Oh my gosh. Well, if anything, I now know what pulls your heartstrings, sir. Erica, what's your favorite episode?
Oh, when Lois Road, when Rhinox gets a stomach virus from the Decepticons, and they end up on an epic battle at the very end, and they're about to throw down, and Rhinox turns around and points his ass towards Megatron, and Megatron's like, "Do not turn your back on me!" And you see a little tail flip up, and he's like, and Megatron looks at him and goes, "Oh no!" And you hear Megatron scream, and then it cuts back to the atmosphere of the planet, and you still hear the scream going on, and a green bubble just goes.
Yeah, it's like that
entire underground base or whatever that they're in is just completely destroyed. Rhinox has wrecked the whole fucking place. They go home, wins the day. It was just it's a great episode. I love it.
The low road is pretty damn funny. The whole tone of the episode is so damn funny though. Like, just other stuff happens in episode 2, like Rat Trap and Dino punch out Tarantulas, and they go, "Shut up!"
But if I had to pick like a serious favorite episode, it would be when Dinobot dies. The hero code, like that episode is what like showed me that even in a cartoon or a CGI or whatever it is, you can have an episode that actually is like realistic and is like you see a character be that character. Like he talks about honor, no big fucking deal. But at the very moment when he needs to step it the fuck up and do it, that episode like did it, and like that's what like. That cemented the idea in my head that a character in a cartoon can have a meaningful like characteristics and make him a great character, even though it's just a stupid show about robots fighting each other. Like it doesn't have to be dumb and stupid and ignorant like, you know, fucking the Mega Man cartoon from back in the day. You know what I mean? Like you can actually have some essence to a show if need be.
Exactly. I hear what you're saying there. Michael, favorite episode?
I'm gonna narrow it down to 2. Bad Spark was written almost like a horror movie. The pacing, it just showed you the different talent that Mainframe could bring in for their scripts. And then from there, Master Blaster, because Megatron just thought it was a good idea to get the original Megatron Spark in Unity. And then, unbeknownst to him, Tarantulas, Quick Strike, and I think, those 2.
Yep, it was those 2 mainly.
And try to throw him in hot lava, only to have him rise out of it as a frickin' dragon.
Man, that sounds.
And also at the same time, Tarantulas started to blow up the Ark too, on top of everything else.
Yeah, because apparently he has an origin that's not traditional Cybertronian. So is he one of the Generation 2? Or spawn a Unicron.
Yep.
I'm looking at the chat. Jeremy says there better be some Code of Hero in here. And he also says, I also have a soft spot for the episode where Rat Trap is forced to sneak around the maximum base when the security system went haywire.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Not bad. All right, I'm just going to mention that there is also a Japanese Beast Wars series. I'm assuming that probably none of us have probably seen much of it at all. None of us. But there is an anime series of Beast Wars. It's Beast Wars 2 and Beast Wars Neo. You might have caught the intros throughout the pre-show as well. Those do exist, although the availability of the show, I guess there's very little information when it comes to the details of the show. And small fan subbing has been done for the show if you're looking to find it through methods. So you can hunt that down if you want to check that out. Of course, there was toy lines to accompany that. But we'll go ahead and jump ahead to Beast Machines. I'm assuming if you guys can let me know who's seen it. We'll start off with Robin, since I'm pretty sure you've seen Beast Machines. Any highlights about the series?
Beast Machines. Oh man, this is going to be... Beast Machines is going to earn a ton of my hate. This effing series. I equate this series what Gundam Seed Destiny is to Gundam Seed, pretty much.
All right.
It is, in other words, it has some interesting ideas. It has some interesting things I try to do with the characters.
But poorly executed.
But the way they execute everything in some ways does not turn out the best way, and in some ways it kind of really F's up the continuity, considering it's the last animated series within the Generation 1/Beast Wars whole branch.
Right.
In the end. Because, let's see. One episode, Rat Trap decides to defect because he finds, oh, hey, I don't have any good weapons in my robot mode. I'm going to defect to the Vircons for an episode. And then also, Rhinox, after he gets awakened, like his, because the deal with the Vircons is they're pretty much all like either sparks of former Transformers, like reprogrammed and put in other bodies and all that stuff. When Tanko discovers he's Rhinox and all that stuff, he finds out, no, I'm kind of happy here. I kind of want to be against Optimus and all this stuff. That's what the hell is he saying? This is Rhinox. This is the big loyal, strong guy who's got chain guns, who would shoot up anyone at a whim, and all that kind of thing in Beast Wars goes to that.
Essentially, the jet to the Spike Spiegel that is Optimus Primal, kinda.
Oh wow, he just stabs Optimus in the back like that.
Yeah, he practically goes against Megatron and Optimus like that. Actually, by the end of the first series of Beast Machines.
Oh, wow.
He's practically just gone fully evil and gone rogue and everything. It's like, what the F is this? It's like, and then Megatron himself is even compared to Beast Wars, he's super dark and just super edgy. He rarely cracks a joke, and just the characters just seem out of whack. And Optimus Primal's kind of a tree hugger in this series and other things like that. It's just by the end of the series finale, techno or organic-y kind of more Cybertron. What the fuck? Yeah. So it earns a lot of my ire for that. It's just what the hell were they on when they made this series?
Well, real quick, they actually have a story arc in this series where they tie in Generation 1, the Generation 1 to B. How did that go for the most part? Just real quick.
I'll see.
Starscream's Ghost comes back, and that's a part of it, at least. Starscream's Ghost is a part of it as well, right?
No, that was in Beast Wars.
That was in Beast Wars? Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, that was in Beast Wars. That was an episode called
Starscream's Spark goes in the Waspinator.
Yep, that didn't happen in Beast Machines. That happened before. With Beast Machines, they had elements. They had, for instance, they had reference to the Keta Vector Sigma, the Plasma Energy Chamber from the last 3-part movie. Of the original series, which actually got used for a moment, and it kind of messed up Cybertron at the end of season 1. What else was there? There was the point where Optimus Primal gets to actually talk to a life-size hologram of Optimus Prime at one point.
Right. I've seen clips of that on YouTube, actually.
Yeah. And that's mostly it. The rest is just little occasional tiny references and things. It's mostly the rest of connections to Beast Wars or other stuff like that mostly. So
highest metal, since you didn't see Beast Wars, but you saw Beast Machines. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I actually got Beast Machines on accident via a box set from my parents. They were figuring, oh, it's Beast Wars, and it's oh wait, shit, wrong series. But I still watched through it. I guess, yeah, because I haven't seen Beast Wars, I was kind of a little bit confused when it came to the characters. But getting through it, I kind of get the feeling that people that did see Beast Wars before kind of felt pissed off seeing their favorite, seeing all the characters get completely just mind fucked into basically obscurity. And the whole tree hugger thing, I just felt what the fuck am I watching? Because it made no sense. You got this whole what was it, the seed or whatever? And it's it magically turns everything vines and trees and shit like that. And you're turning an entire plant that's made out of metal into pretty much a forest. And you at the end with, of course, spoiler alert, when Prime sacrifices himself to turn the entire plant into practically a second Earth. It's how? Why? Just why?
Also, that's something to ponder. When they get Silverbolt in the series, how do they explain vulture bird fossils on Cybertron?
That
somehow.
Too.
Yes, that's another thing that just... How? Why? What? No, that shouldn't work like that at all. What the fuck?
It's pretty wild. I guess I'm assuming that this series probably had a different set of writers, or at least they decided to throw out a lot of common sense things and just go for sensational stuff in this series. I'm assuming, because it seemed to have a different vibe.
Yeah, Beast Wars was mostly in syndication, and it became popular enough to be picked up by Fox Kids, and then that's when they permanently transferred Beast Machines not out of syndication. It was never on syndication; it went straight to Fox Kids and stayed there. So that was one of the bigger changes, was that it went from being a syndicated Canadian show to a American Fox, based show and everything, with the original writers, not the original show creators and everything in it. But that was the major change, was that it was on Fox, and so they had to go in a whole new, extreme cool direction. Yeah.
That's crazy. That usually is the death knell for a series too. When a series goes from syndication to Saturday morning, because I had to change the vibe up. We saw that with Gargoyles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 90s, and it looks like this series also fell the same fate. So that's crazy.
Here's a little bit of random. Sorry to interrupt, Silver. A little random trivia. I just remembered. Does anyone know the alternate title Beast Wars got in Canada, by the way?
No, sir.
Beasties, because they can't use the name Beast Wars.
Wow.
That's like, yeah, because of that whole name thing. So if you ever want a weird thing, it's like they've got a whole title sequence where it goes, Beasties!
That's ridiculous.
Yes, it exists.
Oh, Canada.
And they made the show. What the hell?
No.
Anyway.
Go ahead, Highest Metal. Any other things you had to mention about the series?
The other thing I just felt confusing about was the whole, pretty much the whole like subplot of, oh, let's go remove as many sparks from these drones to try and convince them that who they originally are and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's not gonna fucking work.
Oh, really?
And it proved it didn't. I mean, we talked about it with Tankor and Rhinox and all that shit, and it's like, some of these guys just really don't want to be fucking turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that entire thing was pretty much just total clusterfuck.
Man, damn. No problem. Well, we'll go with Fred. Fred, you said you had something to add.
Just real quick, as far as the whole tree hugging hippie bullshit, as far as Optimus Primal is going through, I kind of I see where everybody is coming from, but looking back at the series, I feel like Beast Wars was establishing a continuity, and then a new continuity, especially with the G1 series. But I felt like Beast Machines established the spiritual continuity, because it did talk about how Optimus Primal became kind of this spiritual savant, where he was calling back, like the first episode where they can't transform into the robot modes. They kind of have to search themselves, search their soul or spark, and so that they can transform into their second state.
Transformed.
Yeah, it's more of the spiritual, like the soul, like that's where it goes into. Is like, what does the spark really want? Does it really want to, like, especially with Tankor, like, does his spark wants to just be this kind of douchebag? So it's. And I can see where other people come from, where it comes off as hippie tree hugging bullshit, but I just see most of it. I think what they were trying to go for was more of the spiritual, how Optimus Primal kind of becomes the connection between the spiritual side of Cybertronians and the physical, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Pretty deep, sir. Pretty deep.
Michael. Yeah, you can't really you can't bash it too much, because it tried something completely different and it did it well enough. But I mean, it only went 2 seasons.
Yeah. Two seasons of 13 episodes, 26 eps.
Yeah, so I mean,
but
wasn't.
You can't
much.
bash it. You can't bash it too much, Eric. So don't try saying it to some people. It's like, in some people's minds, it wrecked a certain amount of continuity in that. This is what it amounted to.
Oh,
yeah,
I mean, Transformers has the weirdest continuity of all series as I've ever seen, ever. So, I mean,
wait till you get to the Unicron Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Eric, since you're talking, what were your overall thoughts on Beast Machines?
I really didn't watch very much of it. I was more into Digimon at that time, so I didn't pay attention much. I was getting into Season 2 and Season 3 of Digimon. I was getting into Cyber 6. I was getting into, all of the other shows I was on there. Beast Machines was cool, but, I was so spent after Beast Wars and seeing that ending that I was just like, oh, Rat Trap has wheels. That's weird. Okay. Ooh, Digimon. I kind of jumped over here and did something else. So I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and I seen the ending of Beast Machines. I liked Black Arachnia's newer design. I thought it was kind of interesting. The toys were kind of weird looking, because they tried to do the same design that they had in the show, but with a toy, and I don't know. They looked kind of weird. But
you're not alone there. Most of the designs did look weird, and most of their colors were kind of weird. The designs, the shapes. It's it looked
interesting at the show, but the toys were kind of weird. It was weird from the transition to the toys. So I really can't say too much good or bad about it, because I haven't watched very much of it. But I do love the fact that they got a chance to do something different and new. They tried it. It didn't work with some people. It was okay with some others. But I mean, it definitely is given some. It was good to have an American Transformer show that happened, and apparently there's an ambulance going down my street. I'm seeing a bunch of lights flashing in my window. So that's all I really got to say about it.
No problem, no problem. Well, Michael, what were your thoughts on Beast Machines?
Well, now that I'm older, I like the series a whole lot more than what I did when I first watched it. Between the horrible toys and the show that felt like a betrayal, you know, coming off Beast Wars, growing up, I did not like it. And I'm sorry, but when I go to a toy store and see a $19 Night Scream, which nobody likes, and see a $5 tiny Obsidian, no, bull crap. You know, bull crap.
It sounds like a chip, man, to say the least.
Yes, it was. So that nearly killed the franchise for me. But getting into the next series, that's what saved it for me.
What was that? He said he broke up and didn't hear it properly.
Say the last part again.
I'm just saying, where Beast Machines nearly killed the franchise for me, the next series, R.I.D., is what saved it for me.
I
agree, sir.
Nice segue, sir. Nice segue. We might as well. I believe that's all we have. A round table for Beast Machines at the moment. Unless I skip somebody, I apologize. Anybody else have anything to say about Beast Machines?
Nothing nice.
Nothing nice.
Nothing further. Let's move on.
All right, cool. Then we'll go right into robots in disguise, and I'll let Michael take it from the top. Go ahead.
Well, it had such an interesting thing because it brought back the Autobots, you know, first and foremost. But the bad guys were the Predacons, the animals. Look at the compare and contrast that to Beast Machines, where the good guys were the animals and the bad guys were the robots, or you know, the
That's an interesting
vehicles.
observation. That's an interesting observation.
And it's not till later in the series where you get the Decepticon clones, as in Scourge, Mega Octane, and his troop that forms Ruination. But for the most part, the villains were all animals, most of which repaints from Beast Wars, but you know, you did get something that knocked Six Shot off his lofty perch of being the Transformer with the most off modes. Galvatron ended up with 10 official modes, and if you do all the fan modes like the Devil Ostrich or whatever, you know, he can probably get over 20 modes.
Oh, damn.
He's got so many combinations of his like twisting parts and like turning parts and his arms, his beast mode heads and everything and all that stuff. He's got so many possibilities.
That's pretty amazing.
The toy is nothing but joints, I tell you.
So much articulation in just one toy.
But going back to that, it was so refreshing to hear Optimus Prime again, even though it was Neil Kaplan doing the voice. But you had Optimus Prime return, you had Ultra Magnus return, you had Prowl, another familiar name. Ironhide and Mirage were on the Spy Changer team. So it was such a return to normalcy after all this time with the Beast era. You know, it was just such a refreshing, even though that show was heavily Japanese, but still, I think it did really well. And of course, it gave us Skybite.
Is he a lot like I've never seen him. Is he a lot like Skylynx?
No. He is a shark that speaks in haikus when it pleases him to do so.
He's fucking fabulous.
And he sings and he's bumbling too also.
That sounds so amazing. I can't. I like. It sounds so amazing. He's got to be fantastic, man.
I don't know how he's resonated through the younger like culture of Transformer fans, but I have a younger friend named Moose who is extremely into Transformers, but she's never seen Beast Machine, she's never seen R.I.D., she's mostly into like Animated and Prime and the newer universes, but like for some reason Skybite is like her favorite character of all time, and I don't even know why, but I'm just like, have you seen R.I.D.? She's like, what's R.I.D.? The comic? And I'm like, no, the original anime that he came from. She's like, that's the thing?
Well, he does pop up in the new Robots in Disguise comic, so that's probably where she's seen him.
Yeah, they're like making toys of him and everything.
Yeah, he is getting a new figure.
Wow. So he's getting a reissue. That's pretty cool. Oh, wait, is it a reissue or is it a brand new version?
I think it's a brand new toy.
Oh, cool, dopeness.
Now, his original toy, though, was a repaint of Cyber Shark's
Transmetal 2 Cyber Shark, yeah.
And they
Specifically.
painted just about every detail on that toy.
Yep. It looks really, really damn nice.
Nice.
Because it's like a blue and white basic shark look, but then you got a little bit of gold, and you got this like metallic silver on like the circuitry details and things on him as well. So you notice like all these little details on him. It looks really damn good. Wow. So.
Well, that's freaking awesome that they're coming out with a new version of him, especially since he's such a well-liked character. Pretty cool. Any other thoughts on Robots in Disguise?
Anime as fuck.
Yeah, that series is the super robot of Transformers. Like that shit gets ridiculous after a while.
What?
Burning
like
Justice.
Nice.
Ultra Magnus is like an add-on thing for Optimus too, and they're like brothers, but Magnus is a fucking prick.
Oh, nice.
in
Yeah,
show.
to say the least.
As he always should be.
Yeah, like he combines with Optimus, but there's times when he actually takes over the combined form and it's just a douchebag.
Yo, that's not even cool, man. You know Optimus is always in charge. What the fuck? That's pretty terrible. Well, Go ahead. Go ahead, Robin.
That's right. Sorry.
I'm sure you have plenty to say about
Yep,
Robots
I'll
in
try
Disguise.
to.
Go ahead.
All I'll say is simply, I think this was, as Michael said, this was a pretty good return to basics after Beast Machines. Like, kind of in a way, go back to what makes Transformers good, or that kind of thing, pretty much, or a palette cleanser in a way. Like, just get rid of like all that stuff from before and just like, yeah, combiners, basic transformations. You even got a city bot of Fortress Maximus, in a sense, in this series, at the end of the series, which he becomes chased after. But damn, do I like Robots in Disguise, Optimus, and Ultra Magnus. But because this is the first Optimus that gets a super mode.
Oh, nice.
Also, because his armor parts all combine onto him and make him like extra powerful, like in his base, apart from his basic robot mode. Also, the first combining leader thing as well, which is like Optimus and Ultra Magnus to form Omega Prime. So, and then finally, this is probably the first one, at least in the US, where it started the whole evil Optimus Prime kind of thing.
Oh,
with
wow.
Scourge.
Yes.
With Scourge, and I love that toy as well. I've got him. Scourge's color scheme though looks so damn good.
Pretty cool.
Yes, he does.
Pretty cool. Anybody else who had something to add about Robots in Disguise at all?
I guess I should say this is actually the very first Transformers series that I saw as a child, if that makes sense, but it was more or less just bits and pieces of it, because I was in preschool at that point.
Oh my god, that makes me feel fucking old. Oh my god.
Hey, now you get to feel old. That's right. That's right. Take it. Take it, bro. Well, it looks like Robots in Disguise wasn't seen by many. But yeah, I remember seeing it air on national television when it was brought over here. I think it's part of Fox Kids too, right?
Yeah, it came out right after Beast Machines ended.
Yeah, they brought that over here. It was a neat looking series. What's that?
It also had some weird airing problems because around the time was around the September 11th attacks actually happened and all that.
Oh,
so some episodes got totally pulled off the air, like over in the US apparently at the time, because shooting up buildings or stuff. We can't have that at the time. So it's
that happened for a lot of series, not just this, but like I know at the time Cartoon Network was showing the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and they pulled it right off the air because of that as well.
Yep, they sure did. I was so pissed because I was taping the show as it was airing, and they just yoked that shit at episode 36. I'll never forget, man. Because September 11th happened. I said, okay, cool. So
And they didn't even.
What's that?
They didn't even show it till the very end during like the Christmas special.
Yeah, they only showed it was New Year's Evil, and they showed the final episode of Mobile Suit Gundam just as part of that compilation. But that was about it. They never really they re-aired the show, or tried to several times, but never did. But I was thinking it would come back in a week. That shit never fucking came back. I was heated. But we're getting off topic. But any other thoughts of Robots in Disguise before we take our break?
Not that I could think of.
All right. Well, if anything, Robots in Disguise did come out here in America. Did anyone know if it came out on home video or?
I think Shout Factory has. I know this year alone they've actually released Armada, Cybertron, and Energon this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure they've been, based on what they've been releasing like in the past few years, they're definitely making a push forward towards releasing it. Because I mean, literally the entire plan for them has been to release every single Transformers series that they could possibly get.
Well, the weird
believe-
thing with
Yeah, go ahead,
There
Frederick.
is.
the weird thing with Robots in Disguise is that it was owned by Saban, so trying to get the rights back from them might be tricky.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Because a lot of the same cast and everything. Yep, it's all done by Saban.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
The only place that got a full release was in the UK. I've got those sets though.
Oh.
Yep, that was the only place. I got them when I was overseas. Once I knew I had to get them, I was like, grabbing them, taking them home.
Not bad. Well, guys, we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a quick little aside as we go into break. But when we come back, we'll be delving into such topics as the let's see here, the Unicron trilogy, which is Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. The comics from Dreamwave and IDW. The movieverse, or Bayformers as we have come to call it. And then the IDW comics that are out now, as well as some other special things like Transformers Animated and Prime and the games. So hang tight. We'll try to run through them quick. But hang tight, guys. You are watching Barbeque Night. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battles to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. The Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers, robots in disguise.
It's an Decepticon communicator! Get more Autobots!
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers, from Hasbro.